spiked out. I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Startups. Sorry for starting late. I was up till 4 a.m. playing poker at the TED conference. I have a 10-week-old baby at home. I am exhausted. However, nothing gets my energy going like an amazing episode of This Week in Startups. It's like your vitamins. Watching This Week in Startups, if you're an entrepreneur, that's like taking your vitamins for the week. It empowers you to go and to kill and maul and succeed. Tyler, how are you doing?
I'm great.
Wow, that's an amazing insight.
for what I don't feel inspired to do, I think.
I think this is the time for employees of Mahalo. If you ever want to ask me for a raise or anything, I am susceptible right now. The bags under my eyes. I mean, I look like I'm dead. But anyway, the TED conference last night.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what TED is. TED.com. TED is this legendary conference. I mean, started by a guy named Richard Saul Wurlman. It's called Technology, Entertainment, and Design. Is what it came from. It's the most elitist conference in the world. Have you been to it?
No.
Never been to it. Neither have I. Mm-hmm. Surprisingly, right?
Yeah.
You'd think a guy like me, been around for 15 years, I would have been
Right.
to the conference. But no, I was banned from TED a decade ago for life. Jump in anytime now, Tyler.
Yeah, no, I'm pausing for dramatic effect.
Oh, okay, a little dramatic effect. So anyway, I have not gone to the event. However, there is a sub-little event that occurs at TED. Now, you have 2,000 people going to TED. They pay $6,000 a year, which to me is crazy because that is 60% of a buy-in for the World Series of Poker main event. It's 60% of
your base currency.
my base currency, which is buy-ins for the World Series of Poker.
Right.
It's 60% of a high society, as we say in the poker business. High society is 10 large. 10 large, of course, is $10,000. I'm not throwing $6,000 away. That's like 1.5 rims on the Tesla. I can't do it.
It's a lot of mochas.
And in your world,
Yeah.
it's a lot of mocha. I mean, I don't know how many mochas, no jokers, you're going to get with that. That's like 1,200 mochas, 1,300 mochas. Anyway, there is, and Ed Borges asks, so why is Jason banned? How did he get banned? I can't talk about it. But anyway, when I was a younger kid, I was a little bit of a rabble-rouser, unlike the decorum that I show today in everything I do. Pretty laid-back guy now, respectful, of course. But back then, when I was 28, 29 years old and a journalist, I would, maybe I'd rabble-rouse a little bit from time to time. And the guy who was running it, Richard Saul Wurlman, and I got into a little beef. He said a couple of things. I said a couple of things. He was a little bit out of line. A little bit. And when he was out of line, I said a couple of things. He said, you're never coming to my conference. I said, I'm not going to blank. You're blanking blank of a blank conference. Then the conference got sold to another guy, Chris Anderson, who I knew. And Chris was like a video game editor or something. Now he's reincarnated as this I don't know, he's like a monk or something. He's saving the world with this conference. And he's doing some good work, I guess. But to summarize it, and you can see the videos at TED. There's really intelligent, amazing talks. TED Talks are amazing. You're watching all of these, right?
Yep.
So you've never been to, but you watch these talks. You're a big fan of these.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So people love it. But I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. And it's basically a way for a bunch of rich people who are liberals to go and cry about all the bad stuff that's going on in the world. And assuage, perhaps, their guilt about being so loaded. I don't have any guilt. I'm not going to go there and cry about malaria. I'm not going to go cry about all this. I'm creating jobs. I feel like as an entrepreneur, I'm doing the right thing. I take care of my family. I create jobs for people. I mean, I feel bad about malaria. I feel bad about these issues, and I support whatever I can. But I'm not going to sit there and cry about every. You know how much bad stuff's been going on this planet forever? Nature is brutal. I don't need to go to a conference and channel. Oh my God! The world is so terrible. The world's not so terrible. This is the most peaceful time we've ever lived in. There's less people getting murdered and killed today than ever in the history of mankind. It's actually, we're in a good place. People are living forever. I mean, the life expectancy from 100 years ago was nothing. So anyway, all these people want to go cry. I'm not interested. However, there is a dinner at TED, and this is where the whole exclude everybody from everything gets out of control. They have a dinner at TED that my book agent, a guy named John Brockman, he hosts. John is like the most famous guy in the world in science and technology. 50 people go to this dinner. I went to this dinner last night. It was hands down the most impressive room of people I have ever been in my life. I've been in a lot of impressive rooms. There were 50 people there, and somebody came up to me and said, Jason, I just counted. I think 16 billionaires. Of the people in the room, 16 are billionaires. Bill Gates, literally Bill Gates, next to Ariana Huffington, next to the dude from Say Anything. Who's that guy? The movie Say Anything.
I know who you're talking about.
John Cusack.
John Cusack. Yeah.
John Cusack. Daniel Dennett, Sam Harris, all these incredible authors, Larry and Sergey from Google, Evan Williams from Twitter. The list was on and on and on of just incredible. And I'm not just, and Matt Groening from The Simpsons fame was sitting next to me. I'm talking to him about The Simpsons. Jeff Bezos from Amazon. It was incredible. And then I said, Chad Hurley from YouTube. So I said, let's go play poker. Steve Case was there, yes. No Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, and this is the interesting about Jobs. Steve Jobs never coming to TED or to this event. Because as much as there's this elitist nonsense with like the 2,000 people go to TED, then there's this like, and not on purpose, but there's a dinner and you can only have a dinner for a small number of people. If you have a dinner for a small number of people and you happen to be the agent of all the Nobel Peace Prize, Pulitzer Prize winning, Nobel Prize winning people and scientists, and you draw all these people, it's going to be a subsection of that. Well, this is the subsection of the most powerful and intellectual people on the planet. It was insane. But of course, I can't go to the event, but I get to go to the dinner that 2% of the people going to the event get to go to, which was pretty ironic. So then I see the event organizer, and I said, oh, hey, how you doing? Can you leave me a day pass? Which I thought was kind of funny, because they don't give day passes. Anyway. Then we went and played poker. A bunch of people played poker until 3 or 4 in the morning. I made like 900 clams. It was a $200 buying game. That's why I'm exhausted.
So the money that you made from the poker.
Yeah, 900. Maybe a G. Maybe 1,000 clams.
This room full of geniuses, actually, when it comes to playing poker, it doesn't.
I mean, Tyler.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this. I had my pocket filled with all these guys' money. And they're paying $6,000 to go to a conference. And this other guy, he buys in 3 times. He gives me like $500, $200 buy-in, $200 buy-in. I'm sorry, 200 clams, 200 clams. There's clams everywhere. And I said, he starts complaining about the fact that I'm taking all his money. And I said, you paid $6,000 for a ticket. You're going all in with a pair of queens. And there's an ace and a king on the board. If you can afford to pay $6,000 for a ticket, you can afford to give me your $400 for playing the 3rd best pair on the board. That's it. Anyway.
But that's kind of like a poker player's dream, isn't it? To be in a room with guys like that?
Oh, yeah. That's what you want. You want rich guys who don't care. And the only mistake I made was it was 200 clams to buy in. I should have made it like too large. And then I would have come home with 8,000 clams. I don't think I can say, like, when you say dollars, you have to say clams or something like that. Anyway, Bill Gates did not play. But I did have a funny joke. I went to Larry Page, co-founder of Google, and I said, hey, Larry, do you play poker? He said, no. I said, do you have money? Everybody laughed. It was pretty funny. Well, obviously, this guy's got money. It's worth $15 billion. Yeah. And actually, that's what somebody said, like, oh, the top 4 guys here are worth $100 billion combined. That means it's like the gross national product of, like, all of Africa or something. Anyway, we've had a big week. Lots of things going on. We announced the Open Angel Forum is going to be in New York and San Francisco. This is 4 cities. And if you would like to apply, what do people do?
Go to openangelforum.com.
Okay, and so who can apply?
For startups, anyone is welcome to apply, although I think in all fairness, the competition's fairly tough, and the ones that are getting through to the final 5.
Yes, describe the qualities of those people.
They tend to have something that's usable on the that you can go to and type in. This is not like a napkin competition.
Okay, it's
for the
not,
best idea.
So what you mean is it's not like a business plan competition. You actually have to have a working product. So if you're working on the business plan, you should call into Shark Tank on This Week in Startups, but you're not ready for Open Angel Forum.
Right.
If you have the product built like Maroon Door did or whatever, or maybe GeekStack does now, then you might qualify.
Right. And not only these final 5, not only do they have something that's working, but they tend to be right at that point where they're starting to get some good user adoption.
So users are using the product. Doesn't have to be a gazillion. It just has to be some.
It can be in beta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like
you know what, interestingly enough, users are using?
Bing?
They're using Bing. And Bing is the proud sponsor of This Week in Startups. Let's go to the segue. Let me just try to do these incredible segues. And here is a great search for Olympic opening ceremony. Everybody knows tonight's the Olympic opening ceremony. And look at these incredible features. You hover over the CBC News here. I guess that's Canadian Broadcasting Company. And it starts video. Well, you can't see it there because the screen's so small. But if I zoom in, what you'll notice is the video's playing. Video previews. That's dope. That's innovation. Google doesn't have that. Yahoo doesn't have that. Then, hey, I'm looking at this Olympics page from Wikipedia. Boom, I hit the side. It's another preview. This is efficient searching. These are great features. I wish I had some of these features on Mahalo, if we're frank. We'll be stealing some of these features from them. And boy, is Bing doing a great job. They're gaining market share, only person in the market who's doing that. And they're really being a very great competitive player in the market. And so I give them a lot of credit. And their maps are great. Video is great. We've been through this a couple times on the show. Twitter integration great. Previews are great. And the search results, if you take their search results, I'll be honest here, their top 10 and Google's top 10, and Yahoo's even, you take the 3 logos off, it's very hard to tell the difference. So what really search is about is organizing the information and the features and the user interface around it. Everybody agrees on that, and Bing is doing a great job at it, and I really appreciate them sponsoring the show. What else? Something else happened this week I feel like I need to tell the audience. There was a bonus episode yesterday.
Yes, there was a bonus episode.
There was a bonus episode.
It was a school, you were calling in remote.
Well, you know this because you handle these things. I mean, how many schools a year contact us, they want me to come speak there? It's a lot of schools.
Yeah.
And so we decided with one of these schools, they said, you don't have to come across the country to, was it Penn?
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs at Penn. And so they called in over Skype, and we did a video. And I said, why don't we record this and give it to the audience because it might be interesting. And we'll play a little video from that later. Was there something else that occurred?
We went to New York Monday.
Oh, yeah. We had a one-day trip to New York. We had a little important business meeting and for a project, Project L. Can't talk about Project L. Then we stopped by Dog Patch Labs. We're in New York. We saw Joe from Local Bacon, TechCrunch 50 company. We went to see Lockhart Steel from Curbed. Yep. We went by and saw Nick Denton at Gawker, and he showed us his designs for the Apple tablet of the Gawker blogs. Very interesting, good-looking stuff. He's really thinking good. Where else did we go?
Challenge Post.
Oh, we went to see Challenge Post, and they were doing a great job. Yep. I don't know, what episode was Challenge Post, Duncan? Some of the superfans tell me in the chat room. Went to see Brandon from Challenge Post. They're doing amazing things. Mm-hmm. I'm very excited about that investment and how they're doing. What else did we do? Anyway, we also had dinner.
Dinner, yeah.
We had dinner with a bunch of peeps in New York. We saw everybody. So anyway, I can't believe we did all this in a week. In 1 week, we're in New York, dinners, meetings. It's crazy. And the show is getting amazing guests. And did they do a show before this one?
Yes.
What was the show before this one?
This Week in Twitter.
This Week in Twitter with Lon Harris?
Yeah.
How was it?
I didn't get to see it.
Did anybody in the chat room see it? Is it going well? Because I have to watch it. I'm going to put it on my iPhone and watch it when I'm playing poker or something. And then after this week, it says, Mickey Moran says it was good. Twitter had 300 viewers. Excellent. Hashtag trivia. Oh, very good. Yeah, Lon is an excellent host. And Lon works here at Mahalo. So, very excited about the guests we have coming up, and also the guests we have today. James Segil is here with us today. He is the CEO and co-founder of Edgecast.
President.
It's
all right. We have a CEO as my business partner, so gotta.
So what did you do? You flip a coin? Who's president? Who's CEO?
Basically, he's taller and better looking, so he got the slot.
All right, I feel you. That's the same way I feel about Tyler. That's the way Tyler's the new CEO. I'm the new president. So James is here. We've known each other for a long time. Serial entrepreneur. partner of Mahalo and local here and crushing it, raised a couple of rounds of funding, multiple business exits, all this kind of amazing stuff, which we'll talk about in the interview segment. But before we get to that, you've seen the show before.
I've seen it just a few times. So.
Just a few times. We have, somebody's saying Edgecast has a pretty good philosophy. Interesting. We'll hear about that later. There's people in the chat room know you guys. Everybody loves Ask Jason as a segment, and we have a special caller today. I'm pretty blown away by the caller. Let's do an Ask Jason here. Phone is ringing. We'll see infographics. All right, I'm now answering the phone. It's a caller, and I think he's calling from the New York area. Caller, are you there?
Hey, Jason, it's Joel.
Oh, it's Joel.
From Stack Overflow.
Welcome to the program, Joel. Joel Spolsky, of course, of Stack Overflow, the awesome question and answer site, and also Joel on Software, the incredible blog. People in the chat room are going crazy. Fog Creek, everybody knows Joel. Joel's a famous guy. I don't know why Joel's calling it. I should be doing Ask Joel. But
well,
so you have a question
you one afterwards.
Yeah, okay. I will do that.
For you.
So let me hear the question.
Well, because we haven't. But Fog Creek is a bootstrapped company, and
right?
We wanted it that way. We wanted to gently grow it quietly. I wanted to do one startup in my whole life that I wanted to be a place to work at for my whole life, and I didn't want VCs, taking that away or anything.
Sure.
But having done that, having established that, it turns out that my second startup, which is Stack Overflow, is a little bit more of a swing for the fences kind of situation.
Okay.
Possibly.
Sure.
So we're starting to get serious interest from some VCs, and we have one particular VC that we really like. We like the person, we like the partner. He's got the right kind of experience. It's a decent firm. It's a good firm, and we're presenting to the partners. That's the stage we're at. We haven't yet presented to all the partners.
Right.
But so I don't want to say it's a. Now this is basically what we got without going out looking for capital.
This fell in your lap.
They came to us, yeah, and
awesome.
And various other, VC sends us little gifts all the time, so I think we're on their radar.
Sure.
So here's my question for you. The question is, do we just go with this, or do I take 6 months off and go walk up and down Sand Hill Road and try to get competitive bids?
Okay, this is a great question. A lot of people who are first-time entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs who are doing their first time raising capital like you are, they get in this situation. A VC contacts them. The VC is impressive. Maybe they've got a good track record. Maybe they invested in some great companies. The partner, you hit it off, and you're like, this is the greatest thing ever. Much like when you go to a new high school or college, or maybe you move to a new city and you meet a new boyfriend or girlfriend. You're like, oh my God, this is the greatest girl ever. But you just moved to the city. You don't know exactly if this is the best girlfriend or boyfriend ever. And you probably want to date a little bit. You probably want to see what else is out there. So there is a way to do this without actually insulting everybody, which is you say you're running a process and that your partners and you, this is the way to say it diplomatically to the VC you currently have. Listen, we have a lot of interest from a number of people, and I'm sure you understand that my partners and I, the shareholders in the company, the people who work at the company, would like to actually meet everybody and make a really educated decision, because we're going to be working with whoever we take this investment from, in all likelihood, for 3 to 7 years, probably 5.
Yep.
And that's what it takes. So we really appreciate your interest. Right now, we would be blown away to work with you. But we need probably about 2 weeks to finish our rounds, and then we're going to come back to you, and we're going to ask for a term sheet, and we're going to look at the offers we have. We're going to compare them, and see who we think is the best partner for us. Are you okay with that? I just want to make sure I sort of be transparent with you, and I don't want to waste your time. And of course they're going to say to you, because what else can they say? Of course,
yeah,
of course, run your process. It's no problem.
Sure. Yeah.
And
I'm not that worried about necessarily insulting anyone.
Right.
So much as just, I know it takes a long time to go through that process, and people tell stories of it being 6 months and 9 months and a year, and that's time that we could be building our business.
It's 6 months or 9 months when the idea is not good.
Oh, okay.
It is 6 days when the idea is amazing and great, and it might be 6 weeks when the idea is somewhere between those two things. So, for example, with Mahalo, it was like 10 days. Other companies I've been involved with, they go on the road. It takes 3 months. It takes 2 or 3 months. So I would say ballpark, since you have this one ready to go in all likelihood, and you're going to present to the partner, the amount of time it takes to prepare and present to their partnership and what you learn there, you're going to have done 90% of the work. So then you should just do what we call a road show. You should go to Sand Hill Road. You pick the 10 VC firms that you like best, and the way you pick them is look at what they've invested in, what exits they've had, and you can just contact them and say, listen, we're doing a process. We've had some interest. Would you like to see what we're doing? Very short email. And then link to your very impressive Quantcast ratings that you've broken into the top 1,000 sites on the internet in just like under a year. Very impressive, without any resources to speak of. Let me ask James, who is here with me from Edgecast, who's, I think you've raised capital twice or maybe 3 times?
In different companies, different entities,
So what you heard my response, you heard Joel's concerns. Is this a major time suck? Is it worth it to see 5, 10, 15? How many on average do you go visit?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's difficult to come up with a hard and fast rule. I'd say if you've worked with venture capitalists before and you feel like you have a good sense for judging them, reviewing them, evaluating them, then you could probably get the process done, to Jason's point, pretty quickly. I mean, especially someone like you or me who's been through it is going to get through these guys quick. But if you haven't necessarily done it before, you might want to take a little extra time. So you might want to, go through and actually, spend some time getting to know these folks. Do a lot of reference calls. That's the key thing. So even if you get in bed with some folks, and let's say you narrow it down to 3 or 4, and they all make you good offers, you need to take a lot of time before you decide. You want to call every CEO who's ever worked with them. You want to ask these guys, hey, who have you invested in that doesn't like you? Which of your investments have failed? Those are the folks you want to talk to. And you want to get on the phone with Jason and me and everybody you know and find out from your sort of network what these guys are really like. Because they're sitting on your board. They're making your life either living hell or it can be a great 3 to 6 year run.
Exactly. I mean, you have to pick this like picking a spouse or a partner.
It's that serious.
It's really that serious. You will spend, and there will be hard times. No company, even if you're successful, there's going to be a lot of hard times because nothing breeds contempt like success, I can tell you. I've been involved in some very successful things. Holy cow, some people lose their SHIT. Like, I can't curse on this show because I'm going to get problems with the iTunes because Steve Jobs doesn't like people cursing on the podcast. But you've got to be really careful. And somebody in the chat room asked, what is Sand Hill Road? Sand Hill Road, you can just type it into Wikipedia or Mahalo and or Bing, any of those amazing services. And what you will see is Sand Hill Road is an area. It's like literally a road in Palo Alto, out in Silicon Valley in California, Northern California, just south of San Francisco, and about 20 minutes south of San Francisco. And there are literally hundreds, probably 200, 300 venture capital firms there. They all have the same buildings, and you can, in one day, visit 5 VC firms for an hour each and drive less than 1 mile between them, and walk, actually, in the same buildings and complex. So the one thing that James said that I want to just highlight is he said you have to call and ask for references. This will make you look very, very astute to the venture capitalists. So when I was working with Sequoia and Roloff both was interested in Mahalo, and I was interested in Sequoia Capital, obviously who wouldn't be, and they said, we're interested in, do you have a couple of references, people you've worked with? And of course, here's my partner Brian Alvey, and here's this person, here's that person, and I said to them, like, actually, I didn't even say to them. I looked at who Roloff had worked with before on LinkedIn. I contacted those people on my own. And I just emailed them and said, hey, do you have 5 minutes to discuss what it's like to work with Sequoia? And then when I talked to Roloff at the next meeting, he's like, oh, I heard you were talking to some of our CEOs. I was like, yes, of course. They had such amazing things to say about you. And when you talk to them, say, what do you think their weaknesses are? It's standard questions. But there's also another great site, thefunded.com, run by Adeo, who does the Funded Institute, which is both are high-quality products in my estimation. And the Funded is sort of anonymous commentary by startups that I think is probably about 90% correct, probably about 10% fake. So it's sort of like Yelp or anything else on the web that's a message board, a review board. And overall, you'll get some interesting insights into your VCs.
You know, one other quick comment is there's the partner that invests in your company, and that's like a direct relationship.
Yes.
But then there's the actual firm itself.
Correct.
Because you got to keep in mind that you might have this great relationship with this partner, they sit on your board, they invest, and then they hop to another firm, you got some stranger who you don't really know who's sitting on your board.
Correct.
So you got to make sure, A, that's a good relationship with your partner, but B, that there's a backup relationship and another backup relationship.
Because what if they leave the firm, and this happens? You think, I got the greatest guy since sliced bread on my board, or gal. They leave. They go to another firm. Somebody else is joining your board, and they're busting your chops. You're like, I didn't sign up for this. Like, I'm an adult. I don't need you to come here and ask me what my China strategy is, or what will Stack Overflow do if Microsoft decides to.
If Google goes into your business.
Yeah, if Google goes in, if Microsoft decides to put a Stack Overflow in every web development kit, what will you do? And it's like, I don't know.
There's a link on the desktop.
Exactly. They're going to put a link on the desktop to Microsoft Overflow. It's like, relax. So this is good. Now since we have you on the phone, and I had sent you a private message, because I always ask Joel when I have questions about developers, because although I'm a CEO, I did very bad development of Lotus Notes and scripting, and I was a horrible programmer. Joel is actually an excellent programmer. And so I asked you a question in email. I want to share with the rest of the audience, which is, I've been reading this book I should say reading. I don't read I read email, but I listen to Audible. And Audible has a book called Talent is Overrated. It's an awesome book. It talks about the basic premise of the book is like, listen, Tiger Woods and Mozart, they were not inherently good at what they did. They had parents who took off from work and spent all their time doing deliberate practice with them to get better. And so my question to you is, since you work with developers and know their mindset very well, how can the concept of deliberate practice, or just how in general, do programmers get better at what they do? And should a startup company do something with their time with developers to actually have them develop their skills and get better in practice, or is the practice inherent in what they do every day?
It's a good question. It depends on the type of development they're doing. So there's a certain class of developers. They used to be called COBOL programmers, and then they were called Visual Basic programmers, and now they're called Java programmers. And that class of programmers, and now obviously this is a huge generalization, but that class of programmers are often just doing the same thing for year in and year out. Like they made one report, and then they made another report, and then they made another report, and they made another report. Then they made an input screen for the first report, and then they made an input screen for the second report, and they repeat for 14 years. They're not learning anything. And on the other hand, there's another class of developers that are really kind of always learning new things, and what you'll generally see is that they're using a reasonably modern technology at work, whatever the technologies are, because they would be bored in a VB or a Java shop. So they're working somewhere in Python or Ruby. And at home, they've got list compilers that they wrote themselves, and they're using weird academic languages that have just been invented, and they're always trying that stuff out on their new projects. And of course, they're bloody from the experience, but they are sort of learning new things. And so, if you're in that first category, and you could say that your last year of developer experience is pretty much the same as the year before it, then you're not really learning new stuff. And there's definitely some obvious things to start with. And I have recommendations for people. Like if you've never learned a functional programming language, they're great ways to do that. So learn a functional programming language, Lisp or Scheme or one of those type languages. If you've never done anything in a low-level language, just for kicks, learn some assembler or C if you've never done that. So there's ways to really kind of broaden your brain. If you've never done Python or Ruby, good God, get out there and do that for a fun project. Now, from our position as the business owner or the employer of these programmers, a common thing is to give them a couple of days off to do whatever project you want with whatever tool you want. Google has something called 20% time, so if you come in on the weekends, you can spend.
Yeah, that's sort of the joke of it. It's become 120% time. Yeah.
Doing something. But some other companies will often do that formally. They'll literally say, all right, we're taking 2 days off, whatever it is that we're doing, and everybody just builds something. And it sort of depends on the type of situation you're in, but if you have a tool, you can ask people to try to make plugins for that tool, or make their own personal site, whatever it may be. Just something where they want to learn something new and they want to kind of stretch and do something a little bit different. And you'll find that they'll almost always if they're good programmers and they're curious, they'll want to use a new programming language or some new tool they haven't used before.
Right. Okay. This is great advice. My group falls into the latter. I am very thankful for your advice because my team is doing just that. They have been embracing things like Django and Cassandra and teaching each other. And the only thing we really don't do here, because we're on a pretty aggressive competitive schedule, is the 20% time. That being said, I think that this will be the year basically 4 of Mahalo, when we actually could, now that we're getting overstaffed and trying to have maybe 50% more developers than we need, we could actually rotate people on a sort of like maybe 25% of the staff could be doing, say, we could put them in a room and say, hey, do something like X.
Depending on the culture of your organization, you may actually find some benefit to that. So I'm thinking of certain companies. The investment banks have a reputation, believe it or not, because they want to hire the best developers in the world. Like Goldman Sachs prides themselves on only having PhDs from MIT or whatever, and those guys don't want to work on what Goldman Sachs needs them to work on. So they pretty much give them free reign. Or they give them a little bit of free reign in terms of what technology they're using, what tools they're using.
Right.
And if you walk into one of those investment banks, you'll find that the entire development team is always porting their entire trade management system from one programming language to another programming language. That's just a little bit cooler. And it's a complete waste of time, and it's a complete waste of money, and their managers know this, but they let them because that's what it takes to have the PhDs from MIT working on your trading system. Is that they want to rewrite it from Python, which was hot 3 weeks ago, to Clojure, which is hot this week.
Interesting.
So in a situation like that, you might even benefit from 20% time. You might say, you know what, you guys do whatever the hell you want on Friday, but Monday through Thursday, you work on the Java trading application. No risk, well-known technologies. Get your learning kicks from something else.
Right. Awesome.
That's probably the Google philosophy a little bit, is they don't want you doing things like Google Buzz and then rolling it out on Gmail and ruining their whole business.
I love it. I know
terrifying
you. What do you think? You think it's too terrifying, too much, too fast, too aggressive?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's sort of like what happened to Google Wave. Weren't we supposed to all be doing Google Wave 3 weeks ago?
I just think it's
Google reinventing email.
Yeah, I'm loving it, but I'm an edge case, obviously. But holy cow!
They're frightening people, and they're doing it on one of their core assets, not their super core asset, but one of their core assets. Can you imagine if they did something like that to their advertisers?
A little bit crazy,
anything.
But
even just change the font in AdWords. The advertisers would go nuts.
You know what? You're right. They would. However, I think they see Facebook as such a competitive threat that they're willing to take the risk. Joel, thank you for calling in. Thank you for answering my question. James, do you have anything to add to that on the keeping smart people engaged and deliberate?
I'd be curious for Joel's feedback as well, because we run a big network. We're pushing a ton of traffic, growing at a phenomenal rate. And the reason our engineers like it is because they get to break things all the time.
Right.
And what they like about breaking things is, of course, they get to fix things.
Yes.
And so that is something that people really get turned on about. So I think that if you're in a more stable environment and it's maybe a little less action-packed, that must be tough. Every other day I wish I was in a stable environment, but I'm not.
What you're referring to is firemen, firefighters. I always try to use a non-gender specific. It's hard to do when
people.
No, firefighters. That's it.
There you go.
Non-gender specific. It's like the firefighters who go and then light a fire in the mountains so they can go light it on fire. That's what you're saying, right? That's what your people do?
Yeah, but it's also
they cause chaos in order to fix it. I'm just kidding.
Right.
They don't do that.
But they do push the cutting edge of technology, right? So if you can get certain productivity out of a server or a switch or a router,
they want to do it.
And then we break it. Then you want to take it to the next. You want to double or triple the productivity.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about a startup, and that's going to happen naturally in a startup, is that whatever was working 3 weeks ago, if you're growing at the right rate, is not working anymore.
Yeah.
And so, those are opportunities to learn things, and that's what's sort of fun about it. I mean, Jeff Atwood, who is the sort of the tech lead on Stack Overflow, had a great time building his own servers and then adding memory to the servers when they fell down and then adding more servers when the one server couldn't handle it. And that was really like a learning process for him. He'd never done that stuff before and was really interesting and fun. And that's why I like startups. I've been doing File Creek now for 10 years, and every year is different, what I have to do and what I'm facing.
You prefer to be a samurai as opposed to being a rice farmer. I understand, Joel.
Yeah.
It's my new analogy. It's like everybody in the world, 90% of people in the world, they work on a rice farm, they collect the rice. And the 10% of us who start companies and the people who work for our companies and with us are the samurai, and we protect the village. Okay. Good seeing you last week in New York. And We'll talk to you soon. The best place for people to find you is obviously at what?
JoelOnSoftware.com.
JoelOnSoftware.com. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.
All right. Thanks, Jason.
I love the Celebrity Ask Jason. This is a whole new thing. We should have Celebrity Ask Jason. That's pretty cool. I mean, you know Joel, right? Obviously.
Sure.
I mean, it's like I'm like a Joel fanboy. I love when I love his blog and everything. If you're in the technology space, you know who he is and you know what he does. So we have to work on that some more. But you know what you don't have to work on, Tyler?
Power VPS?
No, you don't have to work on
Web
close. You don't have to work on having your servers up and running, and you don't have to worry about your email servers filling up and the storage breaking and viruses and did you update the servers. If you use DNA Mail, everybody loves DNA Mail. DNA Mail has been a sponsor of This Week in Startups since the beginning. We're 41 episodes in. We have 9 more episodes to the big 50th episode, which we will be having a huge blowout party for probably on the Microsoft campus up in the Valley. They're really interested in doing it there. And DNA Mail is awesome. If you would like to go try it, it's a free 30-day trial, free activation and setup, free 24-hour support, 99.99% uptime or something to that effect. There's a lot of nines in it. $2.95 a month, unlimited email, and they also do Google Docs, Google Domains, yes. And they have been a great sponsor of the show. Don't screw around with putting up your own email server. That's crazy talk, doing IT when you're at a startup company. So the next segment is Jason's Shark Tank. And in this one, they're going to pitch us, James, on their business idea. They will have 60 seconds, and then we will criticize it harshly. And we will break them down to the point at which they either get inspired to do better or they go back to picking rice in the fields.
It's no fun if someone doesn't cry.
Basically, that's our motto here. What do they call it? The rice fields? What are they?
Patties?
Are they patties? Is it rice
Rice
patties?
patties?
I don't know, Tyler. You lived in Japan? You didn't? I don't know. Okay. All right. Can we get the first Shark Tank, please?
What I want, that's what I want, what I want, that's what I want.
Okay, Jason Shark Tank coming up here. Rob from the.
Claire.
Okay, Rob, take it easy. Don't get crazy. You're gonna have 60 full seconds. Don't jump the gun, or I'll have to penalize you 5 seconds. Rob, you're calling from the 203, which I recognize. That is Hoboken, New Jersey. No, where is 203?
It's Connecticut. I did my PhD in New Haven.
Oh, I did. Oh, PhD. PhD in what?
Computational biology.
Oh, excuse me. Somebody just rated your pitch a 5.5 based on your PhD.
Nice.
Is this your first time tuning into the show? Have you listened to the show?
No, I've seen it before.
Okay.
I've seen you guys before.
Do you have a favorite episode, perhaps? Favorite guest?
I mean, I watched a few of them. The Mingley one was good. I thought that was interesting.
The who?
Mingley.
Oh, you're talking about somebody who pitched on startups. I was talking about the guest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Okay. So, you know, the rules are you have 60 seconds. I'm going to ask everybody who is in the chat room to rate, and I'll ask James as well because he will be giving commentary on your pitch. Rate your pitch 1 to 10 based on 2 things. Number 1, the quality of the actual pitch, how well you did pitching the idea, and then 2, the merit of the idea. So those are 2 different numbers, and in the chat room you will put pitch, the number, and then you will put idea, a number. Are you ready to go?
I am ready to go.
Okay, let's put the clock at 60 seconds, and 3, 2, go.
Okay, so this is short and sweet. Basically, language learning is a hard problem, and it usually involves boring classrooms and drills. So at Babelflix, we're basically changing all that by using streaming movies, television, and music videos to teach language. So conceptually, you can kind of think about it as a Rosetta Stone's interactive language learning software meets Netflix's on-demand streaming movie service. And our business plan will basically give you unlimited downloads of shows with the Babelflix language learning platform for about $20 to $30 a month. And that's it.
Okay. You did that in a record-breaking 35 seconds.
That was the goal.
Did it in 35 seconds. Always, Tyler says, finishing in less than the allotted time is good. Leave people wanting more. I see pitch 7, idea 5. I see pitch 5, pitch 8, pitch 5, pitch 7, pitch 9, idea 8, 4, idea 8, idea 5, pitch 7. It's all over the map.
Okay.
But people think you did a good job pitching. Pitch 7, idea 6, pitch 6, idea 5, idea 8. I think, off the top of my head, I like the space because there's money in it. Obviously, Rosetta Stone has proven that.
Yes.
There was something exciting about the idea of watching shows. It's kind of appealing that I would be entertained while I'm learning. That seems intuitively like a good idea. So I liked it. I would give the pitch like, a 6, 7, which I think is like a solid pitch, maybe a 7, solid pitch. I would have liked a little bit more specifics, maybe just a little specifics of why that's a better way to do it. If you could say it in in a sentence, like this is better because, or we have some proprietary technology, or it's just something. And then I think on the idea, same thing. If I give the idea like a 7, 6, 7, because I don't know exactly what the advantage is or how it works. So let me, before you answer these questions, I want to get James' blunt feedback.
So I'd say the pitch was great. I thought succinct, well articulated. I'd give it an 8, actually, from a pitch perspective. From an idea perspective, probably more like a 6. The two things that were missing for me were, at the beginning you talked about the demand side of things. I want to know the size of the market. So something like, hey, this is a $1 billion market, because I really just don't have a sense of how much money there is out there. Right. And then on the flip side, you talked about what the price, you say, hey, $20, $30 a month kind of thing. I guess I want to know a little bit more about how you're going to make money in that. So it's the kind of thing where like, hey, we can charge people $20 to $30 a month, and it takes them a year to learn a language. So boom, I know what it is. Because when I hear $20 to $30 a month, how long does it take to actually learn a language? So is somebody going to be using this for 1 month? Are they going to use it for a year?
Okay. And before he answers those questions, I have on my laptop here Babelflix's Watch and Learn Technology in 50 Seconds. We're going to play it a little bit because if you might have been able to, in another setting, actually play this. So let's just watch a couple seconds of this. And am I assuming correctly that the audio from this you guys will hear? Or no? To the technical team? No. So we're not going to hear the audio, so I'll just play it. We'll talk over it. So everybody sees it. I am watching what looks like a samurai film. And it says I should... Oh, it's like choose an adventure? Is that what it's doing here?
No. It's basically giving you some interactivity with the movie itself. So we basically do some pre-processing, add metadata, and then you can add lesson plans and teach words and language as you're going along. And then there's also interactivity with the movie player to help you, replay words, look up words, and whatnot.
Okay. Tyler's looking at it as well. I know Tyler speaks Japanese. Tyler, does this look like an effective way to... and what did you think, Tyler?
More interestingly, I'm learning Mandarin, which is which is what he's doing here. I think it's brilliant because I think people learn visually, and I learned a lot of my Japanese from Japanese pop songs and Japanese movies, and found it incredibly valuable way to learn.
Okay.
That I think has not been utilized. It's more engaging. I think young people today are they're in that stimulated mode when they're watching movies and listening to songs. And I mean, as a little test of this, and maybe this would be a crazy thing to include in your pitch, is it's actually really easy to teach someone Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in another language. They'll learn 20 words that otherwise they would never, ever, ever, ever get. Very quick because of the melody.
And it's so ingrained.
Yeah, and then you see, this is my point, is because, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, now you remember the words.
Interesting.
So.
Tyler's on my PR team.
Absolutely. So, Tyler, you didn't give it a rating. What do you rate it?
Conceptually, go the other way around. Pitch-wise, 7. I think you left out a little bit, as Jason said, market size, like James says, is kind of important, and adding a little more hook, like why this is actually better, give some kind of fact. Even I think it missed a couple core statistics, like grounded in some facts.
Right.
That you whet the appetite.
And the idea?
Conceptually, I put it at 9.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So, and before you saw the actual video?
Yeah, I'd seen the video before.
Oh, okay. So, but if you hadn't seen the video, would it be the same or a little less? The video is pretty powerful. The video explains it better. I think after I see the video, I sort of feel like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Like this is the kind of company that I might actually invest in. Like, I'm kind of intrigued on that level. What's the status of the company? Have you raised money or no?
We did. We had a raise, but it fell through. So we're back to beating the pavement. So.
And you tell me again where you're based?
We're based out of New York.
Oh, okay, very good.
But we're open to relocation.
Okay. Well, I mean, what you should be open to is coming to the Open Angel Forum in New York in April and pitching.
I was there. I was at the forum in New York yesterday. Actually.
Oh, good. I think that you might. When Tyler talked earlier in the program about what gets into Open Angel Forum, this is the type of like really good idea that's got some really good execution. Maybe not traction in the market yet, but maybe before 2 months between or in the next 6 weeks, it could get a couple people. I'll tell you one thing about it. I was not psyched about it being a foreign movie for an American audience. So I wonder if you could do this for Gladiator, since I can basically know the script to Gladiator like the back of my hand, or if you could have somebody dub a movie where like a cult-like movie where people know all the words, like I don't know.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
that's
I
like
think
too culty.
ultimately what we're going to have to do is do a little bit of R&D testing on which actually works the best with whether it's foreign movies, learning that language and using your native language, or vice versa. Using Gladiator when you're learning Japanese, for instance, or so that's I guess a bit of an open question.
Right, and what's interesting is Godfather would be a good one for certain. I mean, it's going to be different for different people, but Godfather guys can recite like crazy. I am absolutely certain that they have dubbed Godfather into 50 languages. So
and so that would be a perfect candidate, actually.
Do you have the rights to use movie clips for educational purposes like this?
So what we can do, I think, is we can work with institutions, universities and language schools, and we can use their educational license. Now, we will need to license content. From what I've understood, I've talked to some people who source content, and it shouldn't be too big of a deal. Just on the grounds that if we're trying to get the latest movie, the movie that came out yesterday on DVD, we're not going to get it. But movies, once they pass their expiry date, they're pretty open to opening up their catalog to that kind of stuff.
Okay, very interesting. Stay in touch. I liked it a lot. You'll probably be hearing from Scott Simcoe, the superfan blogger on This Week in Startups, who will probably want to keep up with your story. And we'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good day.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with that one. And we have a second one. I guess we're doing two today. We usually do one, but we'll do two. Okay, Sean calling from the 435. Are you ready to go? And did you see the previous caller?
I did, and yes, I am.
Okay, now, after having seen that previous caller, are you in any way intimidated?
Not in the least.
I love it.
Bring
nice.
it. Bring it.
Now, have you been listening to the show for a long time? And do you have a favorite episode or segment?
I've heard every episode. I think Gary Vaynerchuk. He's kind of a nut, and I like that.
Yeah, I would agree. Gary Vaynerchuk is a nut. That's a pretty accurate statement. He would agree with you. Okay, so I will ask everybody in the chat room, is the chat room ready? And if the chat room is ready, they will say yes. Yes, Commander, we are ready. Yes. Commandant, yes. All clear. Oh, Captain, my Captain, they say they're ready to go. Yes, Zod. Yes, kneel before Zod. You have 60 seconds. The clock is being set, and you will start your pitch in 3, 2, go.
Jason, our education system is in a crisis. Did you know that we spend $25 billion each and every year for on-the-job training for teachers? Despite that fact, the top education official in the U.S., Secretary of Education Arne Duncan, recently said, and I quote, "No area of the teaching profession is more plainly broken today than that of teacher professional development." This is a crisis because decades of research show that the most important factor in student achievement is teacher quality. It's just common sense, right? So my company is called There Now, and we have the solution to this crisis. We've developed a product called Iris Connect. It's the world's most advanced on-the-job training system for teachers. Iris Connect has two parts. The first part is an unobtrusive, portable, pan-tilt zoom camera and wireless microphone system that you place into any classroom. The second part is a web application that gives a remote observer a virtual window into that classroom through the hardware. The remote observer is a coach, a mentor, or even a colleague that's analyzing the video to provide immediate feedback to help that teacher improve. The observer can embed text, audio, and video feedback directly into the recorded observation. These videos and the feedback can then be shared through our web application. So Iris Connect is a bit like YouTube plus LinkedIn for teachers.
Okay. You finished in time. You did okay. I'm going to ask everybody in the chat room the pitch and the idea. And I see pitch 9, idea 4. Pitch 3, idea 5. 9 and 8. 7 pitch. 7 pitch. 10 pitch. 9 idea. 3 idea. 5 idea. 8 idea. 7 idea. 4 idea. James, what did you think?
I'm going to have to give it low ratings all around. And the big reason is, where's this money coming from? Who's going to pay for this?
Yeah.
I guess that's the big hole in this. I just can't figure out, like, is it a government pays, or the teachers pays, or LA Unified pays, or the federal government pays? I mean, there's no money in schools.
Okay, so that's interesting. He did say there's $25 market, but $25 billion market. However, yeah, I had a question about that. And I would say I thought the pitch was pretty good, like a 7, and the idea maybe a 6 or 7. But I don't think I actually understand the idea. You said it's LinkedIn, but then there was something about a webcam, and I don't know exactly what we're talking about here. Tyler, you give me your ideas. Scores. Scores.
The score pitch 4 idea could be an 8, 9.
Okay. What is the idea in your mind? I want to hear what you took away from this. What is the idea?
I have my own idea for what he's doing.
I know you, and you will have many insights.
Yeah.
What I'm asking you now is to explain back to him what he told you. Explain his idea to him in plain English.
His pitch was such that you can't really reiterate back, and that's a good test of your pitch. Before, say it to somebody and say, "What did I just say?"
Yeah. What is my business?
Right.
Okay. People in the chat room, please explain in one sentence what this business there now is. Explain in one sentence. Can you explain, James, what this is in one sentence? The product itself?
Yeah, it's additional training and certification for teachers with, some kind of mentor looking in on a webcam. But I still can't figure out who pays for it and what the financial revenue model is.
And interestingly enough, I'm just watching people here. Somebody says Big Brother in the classroom, remote coach watching and assisting a teacher through training, camera in classroom to assist teachers, real-time training, making teachers better, training and Borgs. Instant teacher feedback, no clue. People on the web will give feedback to teachers on their performance. Yes, obviously, we're going to, your idea is to webcast this to the open web and have anybody give feedback. Okay, so there you got some feedback, Sean. Tell us one more time what the product is. That's question 1. And the second question is, who pays? Take it in any way.
Education researchers and practitioners have known for a long time, for like 30 or 40 years, the most effective way to train teachers, or really anybody for that matter, is through what's called cognitive apprenticeship. It's basically an apprenticeship where someone models best practice, and then you try to perform that best practice, and they give you feedback about your performance. Now, this is going on in schools right now. It's just being done inefficiently and ineffectively, because the expertise that's needed is so disparate, and the travel that's involved makes it very difficult to actually implement in that in schools. Now, to answer James's question about where's the money come from, there's a massive amount of money being spent on this problem. $25 billion is the size of the market. And schools are already using coaching models already. They're just doing it in a very inefficient and ineffective way. If we can give these coaches a virtual window into classrooms so they can watch a teacher teach and provide them feedback that's immediate, that's contextualized. So I'm getting you feedback about your performance while you're actually in your classroom with your students. We have the most effective means of coaching for teachers as available.
So, I guess one thing is I would imagine that right now in a time of heavy budget crisis where everybody's underwater, if you found an angle on this which was, schools are spending billions of dollars every year to train their teachers. We found a way to do it for half the price. We can save them money and improve effectiveness. that to me is a more compelling pitch than just, hey, here's what this is. If you find a way to save the schools money, that's the angle I like. But just improving teacher productivity alone, I'm not so sure.
Right, if you could save them money. So does it save money, and how much?
It does save money just in terms of efficiency, but also look at teacher attrition. In the past 15 years, teacher attrition has grown by 50%. A recent national study showed that the cost of that is about $25,000 per lost teacher.
Okay, so you're saying this will increase retention?
It'll increase retention because teachers will have the support necessary to feel comfortable in their job, and we lose teachers oftentimes in their first year before Christmas.
Okay.
Because they're unsupported.
This is a good idea. You have no website up. Right now it's a business plan and an idea, right? Have you tested this yet?
We got 50 hours. Well, to this point, we've raised about $1.3 million in grant funding from the Department of Education to develop and research the product. We've got 50 irises around the world. I've got an iris.
What's the domain name?
Shanghai. ThereNow.net.
ThereNow.net. Got it. Okay, so everybody go check out ThereNow.net. Everybody can tweet today's callers, Babel Flicks, and ThereNow, and tell them thank you for participating in the program. And okay, I see the iris there, and it's an interesting looking product, and we will Scott Simcoe has some questions, so he's going to be following up with you for the blog. Thank you for calling in, Sean, and we look forward to watching your growth and success.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Cheers, man. Good job. 2 good callers today.
Yeah, totally different businesses.
He might want to mention the fact that I got $1 billion grant.
I think $1 million, right?
$1.3 million,
yeah.
and that he actually has a physical product.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Great job, everybody, on that. And the other person doing a great job right now is, of course, our friends at WebSpy. Just got news that they have re-upped their sponsorship. They're going to be with us, I think, through the rest of the year or something insane. They love the show, and of course, WebSpy monitors everything going on your network, and this lets you maximize productivity and reduce costs. And it's a total log analysis solution. From mail servers to web hosts, you want to look at the traffic levels and patterns and errors on your network. It's a very important thing to do, and also for compliance and stuff like that if you're one of those bigger companies. And I've told you all these stories before. People do stupid things when they're at work, and you've got great employees who might do something dumb on the network, and you can at least know that somebody's doing something stupid and say, hey, don't do something stupid on the network. WebSpy, they're a great company. Go check out webspy.com, and you just tell them that your Uncle Jason sent you. We have a lot of sponsors on the show.
That's good.
It's good to have sponsors. I'll tell you why. The show is very sustainable, and I can't miss an episode of the show now. We have to take the show very seriously now because...
Have you been missing episodes?
No, but when we did Calacanis Cast, it was like, yeah, we'll do one when we feel like it. That was like sort of like a couple of years ago we did Calacanis Cast. It was just me and Tyler, riffing and stuff like that, just in a room with 2 microphones. When the whole podcasting thing started. But now we have 3 employees working on the show. You have Emily and Kenny, and Emily's doing all the production work, and Kenny is doing all the editing and stuff, and then you have Natasha, who is a social media ninja, and she's talking to everybody in the chat room. Then we got Scott Simcoe. I mean, we got a lot of mouths to feed. If we miss a show, 4 sponsors don't run. That's a lot of cheddar.
Plus disappointed audience.
A disappointed audience.
Right.
Then I can't pay their salaries. Then they can't pay their rent. I mean, that's how the whole United States got in this trouble to begin with.
They're going to move in with you. That's what's going to happen.
No, they're not moving. I already have somebody. I got Josh Harris living in my pool house. That's enough. James, Edgecast has been doing great. You're a local startup here. Tell everybody, what is Edgecast, and how did you get the idea to start this, and where is the company at now?
Sure. So we are a content delivery network. Basically, we make websites run faster. We power Mahalo and about 1,200 other websites. And if it weren't for CDNs or content delivery networks like ours, the internet would simply stop working. We're really sort of propping it up now. You think about the volume of users on the internet, this broadband penetration is, I think, something like 80% in North America, and it's growing all over the world. Everyone is depending on the web for almost every kind of communication. And what content delivery networks do is we keep copies of websites in storage caches or storage locations closer to end users, very well connected. So we've got big pipes into all the big networks, and we make sure those websites load faster. And we do that for video streaming, for downloads, for podcasts, for website acceleration. And we are just a big infrastructure provider for the web. Yeah.
Now, why does the web need this exactly? Like, people have servers. People think, gosh, the internet is designed so well. You have a server here. You connect to it over all these fiber optic lines. Why do you need to take the data from one server and put it in 50 places? And when did this whole concept of CDNs, content delivery networks, start?
Sure. So, I mean, the big gorilla in this space is Akamai. They started this, gosh, a little bit more than 15 years ago. And what happened is that if you think of all the web internets out there, the networks out there, they were really poorly interconnected. So you used to have Prodigy and AOL dial-up, and you had all these different little ISPs that were bringing people online. And they didn't all sort of overlap well. So you think you had a spider web here and a spider web here and a spider web here. And at some point, these ISPs all consolidate and get bought by bigger telcos, and they have to find a way to work together. And what happens is if you have a piece of data that needs to go from New York to Los Angeles, it doesn't go in a straight line. It goes in a very crazy route all over the place to different routers and networks and hops. And so it takes a long time to get there. We've all come to expect really, really fast page load times. And so in order for that to happen, there's no way with both the combination of the speed of light and with the interconnectivity of networks for that piece of data to get all the way across the US in time. So all you got to do is you take that piece of data and you keep a copy of it on the other side of the world. That way, the first time you request a page, the content loads right away.
And this is what Google has done particularly well with things like Gmail and YouTube. Yep. They keep copies of popular YouTube videos really close to your house.
Yep.
How close is it to your house in that sense? Like, if you live in a major city like Los Angeles or New York, and I'm looking at the most popular video of all time on YouTube, we assume it is cached around the world, and if you're in some city, where is that server? How close is it to you?
Well, there's two ways to think about close. There's physically close, and then there's network proximity. Network proximity is measured in milliseconds. So how long does it take the content to get to your computer? So you want to be, less than a second away. You want to be maybe 80 milliseconds away, and that's sort of the refresh time that your mind needs in order to see content load really fast. Physically, 80 milliseconds could take 100 miles, or it could take 10 miles to travel, really depending on the congestion on the internet. So for instance, we're here in LA, we're in Santa Monica, our POP is downtown.
Right.
And that services all of LA County and actually a lot of Southern California perfectly. No problems there.
And you said the word POP?
Oh, sorry, our point of presence.
Your point of presence.
Our data center.
Where the server is.
Exactly, yes.
And so, why did you decide to start? You started this company, I think, 2 or 3 years ago.
August of 2006, yeah.
So, and at that point, I remember because we were doing Weblogs Inc. and we were doing some podcasting, and there was this whole thing with CDN wars. CDNs were charging, I don't know, $1. What, they charged by gigabyte or something?
Yeah.
So charging, 50 cents a gigabyte or 75 cents a gigabyte, and then all I remember at Weblogs Inc. was everybody calling like, oh, it's 80 cents, oh no, it's 70 cents, 50 cents, 40 cents. It was like this race to the bottom, and everybody talking about, like this is the worst business you could possibly be in. It's been commoditized. And Akamai is the 800-pound gorilla, and they can beat anybody up. And then you guys decide in the 2006 you're going to start something. Why? What was the unique value proposition that said, I'm going to go compete with the 800-pound gorilla?
So we had this idea for a website. So my partners and I, this is our third company together. And so we had sold the last one. We'd worked for the company that bought us for a year. And then we sort of said, all right, we want to start something else. And we all sat down in a room and said, what are we going to do? And we came up with an idea for a video site. Forget what the idea was. We thought at the time it was the greatest thing. And so we said, well, we're going to be huge, right? We need a CDN. So we started calling up Akamai. We called them basically every day for 2 weeks. They didn't call us back.
Yeah, I've had that experience, actually. And, when you have 90,000 Twitter followers and you say, my God, I am sick and tired of dealing with Akamai, the Akamai CEO finds out.
Yeah.
And the person who's a salesperson looks really stupid.
Yeah.
So if you're a salesperson out there at a technology company, can I explain something to you? If you ignore clients, you are extremely stupid because the CEO will find out, and when they do, they will hit the roof. If somebody told me that one of our salespeople did not return a call in the same day, 48 hours, next day would be the absolute limit. If I found out there were 2 days and somebody didn't call back, 3 days, I would fire the salesperson immediately. It would not even be a discussion, unless like their dog died or that, you know, something would have to have happened. But to not call somebody back is insane.
Well, I think that's the difference between entrepreneurs and enormous Fortune 500 institutions.
Right.
They have an institutionalized approach there, which is, hey, we're this huge company. We deal with the biggest of the biggest websites.
Right.
So if you're a tiny little website, a startup entrepreneur who's
Right.
got nothing material at this point but knows he's going to have something,
Right.
and you're a salesperson, you have to choose your time to talk to this entrepreneur who's going to, you know, maybe spend a couple $100 a month, or talk to that big account, MTV or Viacom,
Right.
whoever. You're going to spend your time on the big account. I totally agree with you. I mean, if any single one of my salesperson didn't call somebody back right away, it'd be, you know,
Hell to pay for it.
They'd be out the door.
Yeah.
But you sort of see what happens when a company gets that big and they're that focused on, you know, the Fortune 500. You understand how that can happen. But to your point, I don't think
understand. I tell you, I still don't understand it, because the little companies become successful,
Right.
and become big companies.
I'm with you.
And if you ignore clients and you build a culture of that, I mean, it is just like just throwing your entire business away. It'd be like, you know, McDonald's serves a lot of people,
Sure.
you know, but everybody gets their food, you know, just as fast. Or pick any restaurant chain, TGI Fridays. I mean, it costs nothing to just email the person back and say, I am slammed with a thing, can I get back to you in 48 hours? Just that little thing.
Listen, 48 hours would have been amazing. No, it's more like, you know, they don't get back to you for months. And that's even if the lead comes in to a salesperson, because it has to go through some, you know,
Right.
crazy route in order to get to someone. It gets vetted by a call center
It
in
took
India.
me 3 or 4 days of tweeting
Yeah.
how pissed off I was to get somebody to call me back.
Yeah.
Finally, what happened was my friend who sold his company to Akamai emailed the CEO and said, what is going on? I sold you my company, and you're ignoring Jason. And he said like 5 times, does nobody even watch the word Akamai on Twitter?
Yeah.
And how could you not return his call? It makes no sense. Like, what's to pay money? So anyway, you had the same experience I had, which is Akamai is a disaster.
Yeah, we had that same experience with Akamai, with Limelight, with at the time VitalStream, which became Internap. We couldn't get anybody to return a call. So that was a huge indicator. As an entrepreneur, when you see a space that hot, when somebody can't take the time to call you back and take your money, I'm like sitting there waiting to give them my
Right.
clams, right? And I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. What are we doing with this video website? We can't figure out how to make money here.
Right.
Let's turn this around and go back in infrastructure.
Yeah.
We were in web hosting before, so we really felt good about that. And to your point, we looked at the space and we said, this is a commoditizing space. It's highly competitive. What can we do to make it different? And I'm telling you, it was the most basic business sort of solution. We took Web 2.0 technology, the ability to actually go log into a web control panel, click a button, and provision an account, something that we assume we do all day. You do it all day long with a Gmail account.
Sure.
Or anything, right?
By provision, you mean sign up.
To sign up, to set up.
To turn on.
Yes, to
Yes.
enable, to empower.
Yes, exactly.
So that idea is something that the CDN space just hadn't seen. Everything in the CDN space was like a telco.
Right.
You wanted to get something done, you had a fax and
There's
order
going to
in.
be a backhoe, you got to call the guy, we're going to
6
schedule
weeks
something.
of contract
Yeah.
negotiation, and then the cable guy shows up between 4 and 8, you know? It was crazy. And so we were able to literally just apply standard Web 2.0 practice to a very mature industry. And that alone made us the most modern CDN
This is a
out there.
very important point you're bringing up. I'm glad you're bringing it up, because if you make things difficult for your customers, they will hate you. And if you make it smooth and easy, they will spend more time and money with you and love you.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to harp on Akamai too much here, because I don't want to beat them up. But the craziest thing about that was, it's like, there's a price that this stuff costs. We finally get the salesperson. We negotiate with him. We get a contract. He doesn't call us back. Weeks later, we finally get in touch with him. We're like, we're ready to do something, maybe. And he's like, yeah, okay, well, let's get a contract. Well, we have the contract you sent. Punchline? That contract's no longer valid. We have to start over. Okay, what needs to change? Oh, everything got to change, and I'm going to call you back. And the whole thing got reported. I went crazy, and I thought it was my people. So I'm going crazy on my people. What, you guys can't just order something? I mean, I can go to the store and get a thing of milk, and I go crazy on my people about it. The reason Google has done so well, isn't it because it's so self-serve?
It's that easy.
People don't want to talk to a salesperson. People hate salespeople.
I mean, you think about how hard it is to set up an Exchange server to get your email running for your company, right?
Sure.
We use Google Apps. We use Google Mail, right, for our company. It took me to go set it up.
Yes.
It took me 5 minutes, and I was done, and I had set up email addresses for 25 employees. This
Yes.
is right when this is
Yes.
3 years ago.
Yes.
And It's just too easy. Too easy.
Now, you raised money for the company, a couple of rounds. Who are the investors?
So Steamboat Ventures is the sort of investment affiliate, venture affiliate of the Walt Disney Company. And they invested in the company in fall of '07. And before that, all the first millions of bucks was mine and my partners, and we built the company really with a couple of angels as well.
Yeah.
And we are actually a very well-capitalized company, but sort of undercapitalized compared to our competitors. We raised less than about 10 million, got a few million of debt financing from Silicon Valley Bank.
Yep.
And we were able to make a profitable company that is the number 3 ranked CDN in the space with over 1,200 customers. And Akamai and Edgecast are the only 2 profitable CDNs, and I think there's 40 CDNs out there in the marketplace today.
Why are there so many? Why did so many people go into this business? It doesn't make sense to me that there's 40 of them. Yeah. Why don't some of them go out of business?
A lot of them have gone out of business.
So there has been a shakeout.
There's been a shakeout. There's been consolidation. There's been attrition. There's a company called Panther Express that blew through like 20 or 30 million bucks of venture capital in 2 years.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Kevin Ryan, did that, and he was doing Gawker's stuff. And what? They just unplugged it, or is it still going? Or
they sort of sold out the assets to CD Networks, which is a CDN out of Korea. And so there's some well-financed guys in the space. To answer your point, the main drivers, I think, have been video. So video has driven the bandwidth consumption on the internet phenomenally. If you think of, this is something interesting to do. Are you familiar with the concept of a peering point or an exchange, peering exchange?
Peering exchange. Now, I think I do. Let me see if I get it right. This is where you put a server like on Verizon's network or Time Warner's network so that you get closer to the Time Warner users?
Sort of, and so what happens is if you think of this Verizon, AT&T, MC, all the various carriers, they need to find places where they interconnect. If you think of it like a freeway, it's just the exchange point.
Oh, I see, okay. So where Verizon connects to, AT&T connects to Time Warner.
Exactly, and there's sort of centralized points. You've probably heard of May East and May West.
What is that?
Those are actually sort of when the military originally sort of started the basic internet backbone.
ARPANET.
Yes. Those were the primary congestion or exchange points where the internet sort of interconnected. And those are proliferated. And so now what you have is maybe 15 of these locations in North America, 10 of these locations in Europe, and additional locations around the world. And so these are where everyone sort of interconnects. And if you take a look at, some of these are public exchange points, some of them are like public orgs. There's one called AMSIX, and there's another called DKIX. One's in Amsterdam, one's in Germany, one's Links in London.
These are hubs. It's sort of like LAX or something.
Yes, it's sort of where all the air traffic controllers get together and they sort of,
And it's public, like it's like a utility or something. Like,
some of them
like the internet.
are private, would take a little money. Some of them are public, yes.
Right.
So if you look at the Amsterdam Exchange, which is one of the central hubs in Europe, if you look at the volume of traffic that just goes across that exchange over the last year, January 1st, 2009 to January 1st, 2010, the total volume of traffic has doubled. So if you think it took 20 years for the internet to get as big as it got by January 1st, 2009, and then literally in 12 months, the entire volume of traffic across the internet doubled.
Right.
That is that's pretty amazing.
Right. And how much of YouTube turning on like HD and stuff like that, is it literally like YouTube turns on HD and like the internet gets 10%?
It is a number percent goes up when the internet, when YouTube does something.
So, why hasn't the internet slowed down? I mean, people keep saying, I hear Mark Cuban say like on his blog, like the internet can't handle, HD streaming, he's been saying for a long time, and this, the whole thing's going to come to a crawl. Yet it seems that, there's 500 people watching us right now live streaming. It's pretty good quality. And it's, people will download this and, they'll download maybe 700 megabytes and there'll be 25,000 downloads of the show a week from now. Why isn't the internet slowing down?
So the reason is the internet is ready to scale to about 5x. So at any given point, we've got some headroom. And there's a decent amount of headroom. And we're still riding the wave from the dot-com bubble investment when all these billions of dollars went into carrier infrastructure and fiber and all that stuff. Right. But 5x, when you think about a year-on-year growth of 2x, that's not going to take long to eat that.
3 years.
Eat that up, basically 3 years. And so if you think
because it's compounding for those people who didn't understand. It's not 5 years because this year doubles. It goes from 2 to 4 and then 4 to 8.
Exactly.
It's going to get eaten up quick.
And so when you think about the fact that IPTV hasn't really hit yet and it's going to...
Internet Protocol Television.
Yes.
Got it.
And that concept of TV everywhere, where you can watch a TV show on your laptop, and you can watch it on the TV at home, and then you can watch it on your mobile device.
Which I have with Ustream, but most people don't have. Not Ustream, I have it with Slingbox. I can watch it on my iPhone, I can watch it on my laptop.
Exactly.
But that's going to be available to everybody?
That, within the next 3 years, so Vizio just launched during the Super Bowl. They talked about how now you can get internet access to your TV and all your favorite shows.
I have that on my TV, yeah. But it doesn't do the TV show.
Well, it will.
Yeah.
Basically, it's going to be connecting the internet directly into your TV, connecting the internet directly into...
You plug your Ethernet into your TV.
And you're done.
And you have Netflix on demand in your TV.
Netflix on demand, every
Hulu.
Satellite program you ever wanted, you can navigate the web.
And this is going to go over the internet.
This is going to go over the internet.
Can the internet, if all Americans all of a sudden today, if, I don't know, 20 million Americans lost over an internet connection today, would the internet be able to handle it?
Absolutely not. No way.
10 million?
No.
5 million?
No, because it's on a single provider. So
I see.
It needs to be much better distributed.
So we're not ready for IPTV at all, at least not in HD quality with a large number of people doing it.
Right, but luckily...
So Mark Cuban is correct. This is not going to just all of a sudden work itself out.
Well, there are vendors like us who are sort of the Band-Aid to, in the short term, allow this to happen because of the caching and streaming technology we offer. And then in the meantime, the telcos are figuring out where they're going to get the money to invest in additional infrastructure.
Right.
So they're deploying caching servers in their own networks to try to push out the content. Oh, yeah.
So the AT&Ts and the Time Warners are going to have CDNs of their own and cache stuff?
They have internal CDNs, and the concept is called a transparent cache, where what they do is they take popular content that's on their network, and they just take that popular content and they keep copies of it at the edge of their network, so they don't have to use the backhaul to carry it across.
So
country.
If somebody's loading a Mahalo page, you know, like we have a page today that's getting loaded a lot, like Olympic opening ceremonies, and are you telling me that if we change that page and it's at the edge of Time Warner, it's not going to be changed for Time Warner users?
No, it gets changed.
Oh, so they know how to time it out or something?
Right. So when you think about how a web server works, it reads the HTTP headers, and it's HTTP compliant. So whatever the header tells it to do, it does.
Ah.
And so you can really never worry about your old content being on there. The main issue is making sure that you're using a CDN and making sure that everybody else is using a CDN.
Now, what happened to this multicast technology? I remember back in the day, people said, oh my God, you can never stream over the internet. I'm talking 98, 99. It's not going to work. There's not enough bandwidth for every single person to be selfish and do streaming video. Of course, Ustream is working today.
Right.
But they said very clearly Ustream would not work because there wouldn't be enough servers. The servers would crash. If you did video serving like on a real player, I mean, you'd get like 32 people per server or something like that. When Sudo and Josh Harris were doing it, it was like he had 20 servers and you could get like, I think it was 32 people on each one or something insanely small.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, the protocols have changed.
Yeah.
So you don't have to use real server. You can you can use all these different other technologies.
Now, what about the concept of having multicasting, or like the Olympics are streaming over the entire network and your computer just taps into that one stream live, as opposed to we each grab it from a server and get a dedicated connection going down? Is that kind of is it called multicast? Is that the correct way to say it?
Yeah, when it's done over the ISP or over the carrier, it's multicast. But that's not what an over-the-top provider like us would use. Right. So if we don't control the actual network ourselves, we're not able to do multicast.
Right.
We're just doing.
Does multicast exist today? Or?
Yeah, it's a protocol that's used within carrier infrastructure.
So when would I use that? When I'm looking at CNN or something?
Actually, if you're going to like ESPN 360 and you're on network, and that's something that, let's say, a service provider like Verizon's offering dedicated, they could use multicast for that.
Got it. Interesting. And China blocking a lot of things. Iran blocking Gmail. People consider the internet America. We still control it with ICANN, I guess, to a certain extent. We have a lot of influence over the internet.
Certainly.
We created it, in fairness. Is that fair to say that we created it?
Well, we've dominated it. I think it's a...
Yeah, so whatever. Either we created it or we dominated it, so either way, it's ours. No, not really. But what's going to happen as these countries want to control their internet? Is this sustainable, or we have these attacks coming? What do you think is going to happen with China and Iran? Are we going to technically build some kind of wall between those countries? They have firewalls on their side. Are we going to have to put firewalls on our side? That anything coming from those places gets checked for bad actors? Is this overblown? Is the next World War going to start because of China hackers fighting with big multinational corporations in the United States? What's your take on it?
I mean, you got a good point there. So the internet is based on fairly open protocols. And so ISPs, carriers who work around the world, and there's local carriers in each country, they all talk to each other. And the idea of having an IP address that's broadcasting a signal and says, okay, I resolve a domain name, a URL, to a number, 1.1.1.1, that IP address. All of that relies on a certain openness and logic. And what can happen is there can be sort of malicious people out there who will, steal addresses or move traffic around. And so what happened maybe about 6 or 12 months ago is somebody, and I think it was maybe in Iran, at a big ISP, typed something into a router incorrectly and basically blocked like a ton of internet addresses. And what happened is that propagated all around the world, and a whole bunch of content was unavailable simply because of a human error.
Whoa.
So you can say that, yes, certain countries can choose to do things. You can also just have malicious things happen. And we are all so integrated on the internet that there's a ton of exposure.
Do you think if China or other hackers wanted to, and they had a lot of resources, which obviously in China they seem to have a ton of resources,
sure,
would they be able to shut down the American internet or disturb it significantly that it would be unusable? Is that scenario possible?
I don't think hackers necessarily could do it, but I certainly think if the government put their mind to it, they could find a way to disrupt things. But it's not in their best interest to do that, so I can't see that happening. They love having tight control over their constituents within their country, and that's fine, but they don't tend to, go out and take
But if there was some huge war, going on, or some big debate over debt or something like that, this sort of World War III scenario where they could make it impossible for Americans to use the internet or flood it with traffic or shut servers down, denial servers, whatever. It's technically possible.
It is technically possible. So if you go
unlikely, but possible.
Right. So one person you should get on here is some of the chief technology people at the White House. And they think a lot about this.
Do they know what they're doing?
I think honestly, the chief technology people probably do.
Okay, because I always wonder, I know you know what you're talking about. I know your people in your company do. But does our government even know, when this stuff happens, when the Gmail attack happened?
Well, they've hired guys like you and me who just come out of private industry and went and do their public service years.
So when those guys, the technical people there, and then don't give me a political answer here, but the technical people there, are they as good as the people in private? They're going to be as good as Google engineers?
They are former Google engineers.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then that makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
So you don't think that the government is incapable or incompetent in terms of protecting the country on the internet?
No, not at all.
They're capable.
Right. And I think, they also have to look
at... That makes me feel better, because I've always wondered about that.
Well, you have to think about it. If you're the White House, and you need to provide secure telecommunications and secure operations communication,
you want
to make sure that your network doesn't go down.
Right.
And they all depend on the internet. And if they're depending on the open internet, well...
Yeah.
You don't want that to happen. So I think that there's a lot of folks out there who've thought about different ways to protect and to close off networks.
Right.
And that can apply to a specific closed network like a government network, but that can also extend to a national network.
Net neutrality. We saw Google's going to do 50,000 or 500,000 homes in fiber, possibly. The carriers want to charge different prices for different types of traffic. They want to maybe charge the people like Mahalo or Google a fee for sending the traffic. What's your stance on net neutrality, and how big of an issue is this?
So I have a pretty strong opinion about this, and it might be a little bit different than yours.
Yeah.
I think that the fallacy that the internet is free and that everything you get on the internet should be free is soon to come to an end. It's just not possible for everything to be free. Answers shouldn't be free. Content shouldn't be free. There's a commerce model associated with everything. Maybe it's advertising generated, or maybe it's subscription, whatever it is. I believe that the access provider is going to be the key to generating revenue on the internet. So it's going to be the people that give you access to the internet, physical access, the ability to log on with your iMac, the ability to get online with a dial-up at your home, that will be capturing the revenue, and they will pass that money up. So they'll pass it back to the movie company, or to the music company, or to the website owner, or to Google because you're using their email service.
So that's what you think is going to happen? They're going to charge people for service?
I think there's going to be a revenue share all the way down, because when you think of...
Really?
Yeah. If you talk to most of the carriers, they are all working on deals like this, where they're trying to figure out how to pay for the enormous investment in infrastructure to support everybody's great idea.
Aren't they charging people for this access? Like they charge me for access at home?
Yeah, but they're underwater on that.
No, they make billions of dollars, these companies.
They're so underwater on local access, it's crazy.
Really?
Yeah, especially for a super user like you. They priced that thinking that maybe you'd be using it 1/10 of what you're using it. I can guarantee they're underwater on your deal.
No, but on average, these companies are posting record profits. How could they be underwater? I don't understand.
On sort of local internet access,
Yeah.
they don't make much money. Yeah, especially as the trend increases, where you've got these super users that are just congesting.
And so
network.
Google saying we're going to put fiber to these homes is what?
Honestly, I have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got.
It's a little confusing.
Yeah. But, they've started a whole lot of different businesses that are confusing, right? They got into print ads for a while. They got into billboard ads for a while. I think they like to explore and experiment, and they learn something from it. Big Brother gets stronger every time he figures something out.
You mentioned before that you raised $10 million or something,
Yep.
and that you also had a loan or a line of credit with
Sure.
Silicon Valley Bank.
Yes.
As an entrepreneur, why would you do that instead of raising capital? Obviously, you can raise a bunch of capital pretty easily since you're a seasoned entrepreneur. And how does it work? Is it like venture capital, this loan, or is it something that, I mean, I know, but I'm asking for the audience.
Sure. So there's
Explain
different.
what that is.
So when you think just from a basic financial model perspective, debt is always cheaper than equity because you don't actually have to give up part of your company.
No shares.
No shares. You just borrow money from someone and then you pay them an interest rate back. And if you have a business that generates a certain revenue and a certain profit and you have a cash flow, you can afford to pay your interest payments and therefore you can afford to borrow against that revenue stream. And so if you have a business like ours, which is a recurring revenue model that spits off good cash and that needs a lot of CapEx, a lot of capital, servers, hardware, routers, you can finance the acquisition of that hardware and use debt to do that. So we borrow money to build servers and buy servers, and then we pay off that server loan back to the bank at a certain interest rate. And that is a much better access to capital for us.
Is it, and so they get no kind of warrants or
There's
stock?
some warrant coverage, sure.
Warrant coverage means what?
So
We're trying to educate entrepreneurs here.
Sure, no worries, no worries. So a bank like Silicon Valley Bank is very entrepreneurial friendly, works with a lot of tech startups, and part of their business model is to bet on the company to win. And so they also want a little taste. They want some stock.
They
want
to get a taste.
They want a taste.
And
you got to give them the VIG.
They give them the VIG.
Yeah.
So they want some stock options?
Yeah, so they're warrants, which are basically options that are exercisable, and they get some stock for loaning you the money.
So would this be 1% of your shares, half a point, or a quarter point? What do you think? Not in your case, but in general, what would Silicon Valley want to own? Is it just a number based on how do they come to that number?
Sure, it's a risk profile. It depends who's invested in the company. So obviously they're going to want a bigger piece if it's a higher risk, and if it's a lower risk, they'll take a smaller piece.
So Disney's an investor. I think Disney's probably good for it.
I'm pretty sure they are.
Why did Disney invest in your business?
Well, so to be specific, it wasn't Disney. Rather, it was their venture capital arm.
Right.
And these folks really took a look at what Disney does as a company, and a lot of it's moving online.
Yeah.
Online is a marketing channel for them, for all their movies, TV shows, and properties, as well as now a source of audience. And so being able to really get a piece of an infrastructure company that was powering the growth of media, we're the only company like ours in Los Angeles, here in Hollywood, would just make total sense to them.
I agree. Let's bring in Lon to do the news. Lon, are you here with your news? That's super informative. Wow. That's Lon. Very serious. Yes.
Hi, Lon.
Why did Disney sell blank? URL removed. I don't know what they're talking about in the chat room. Okay, so in this part of the program, we look at the week's news stories. We give you the honest assessment of what's going on, and I can tell you clearly my honest assessment, if you're going to get some servers for your startup company, is that you should check out powervps.com. That's a pretty good one. I think that was the best segue of the show into an ad. Powervps.com. Virtual and dedicated web hosting. You get a 30-day money-back guarantee. It grows while you grow. Control packages. You can control all your stuff from, a remote control of the server. You don't need to go buy a bunch of servers, especially not when you're starting up. God forbid you spend your money on that. And it starts as low as $59 a month.
What a deal.
It's a deal. And TWiST viewers, thank you for the enthusiasm. TWiST viewers get 25% off for life if they use the code TWiST, yes. And it is your Geary, it is your humble honor to thank the sponsors, thank at Bing, thank at DNA Mail, thank at WebSpy, and thank at PowerVPS, and thank at Ustream TV. all of the great sponsors of the show, all with us for a long time, and hopefully a long time to come. Lon, it was a busy week.
It was a crazy week, actually. More news this week, I think, maybe any other week.
Great.
I've been working here.
So we'll have 4 hours of show today.
Yes, it'll go a little long. Obviously, first up, Google Buzz. Google went social this week with the release of Google Buzz, an expansion of Gmail that marries the threaded conversation format with all kinds of interactions you would usually do on social sites like Facebook or Twitter. Jason, one of your first posts on Buzz claimed that the service had cut Facebook's value in half. And
Yes.
you later provided a list of features Twitter must introduce in order to compete. A few days in, are you still as bullish?
I am absolutely bullish on this product. It is incredibly well executed, and I will go through why. Number one, it's faster than Twitter and Facebook. Those two products are dogs. They're slow. They freeze up a lot. 50 seconds to log into Facebook. We've all experienced that. It is very feature-rich, and everybody who's involved in your email box is, by definition, pretty high quality and related to you. So when I post to Buzz, the first day I had 2,000 people. By the second day I had 4,000 people, and I just saw that I'm the number.
I think you're number 5 right now.
I'm number 5 with 4,500 viewers. And when I give away a Tesla Model S for being number 1, then I'll definitely be number 1. Anyway, so many people following me, and I would post something and get 100 likes and 250 comments. I have never seen in a social network intelligent, real comments at that pace ever. It makes Facebook look like a ghost town. Facebook has 400 million people, and it looks like a ghost town compared to Buzz. Now, Buzz, there are criticisms. Maybe this product should not be integrated with your with Gmail.
Email, yes. The
People might
privacy
like
concerns,
it. Yes, and then but the privacy concerns are a little bit overblown. Like, people are sort of saying like it's exposing your whole email box. That's not actually true, and you can put your thing on private. So there are tools, but in fairness to them, and I don't want to. I'm not like I am a Google fanboy. I do like their products. I think they're well done, and the price is always right with Google, free. But within 24 hours, they addressed the privacy issues and started fixing things. Facebook waits until they have 10 lawsuits to fix anything. James, have you played with it?
No.
Okay. Tyler?
Yeah, I played with it. I think it's interesting from within Google's own perspective, because now they're going to have access to a lot of this data that they can then leverage in their search results.
Wait, say it again.
I'm saying Google was sort of at the whim of Twitter.
Right.
They had all of this real-time data flowing through their system.
Okay.
And they had to buy a line into it.
Right.
Now they're going to have their own sort of database of flourishing updates and everything that they can then push into their search results if they want to start doing some.
This is a quality insight.
Insight from Tyler.
You know, last week was a Zero Insight episode, and people are going crazy.
The first ever.
And people are going crazy. Insight-free episode. Tyler, you should like to give a couple of insights. But it's a very good insight, because they're paying for the feed. Now they no longer have to pay for the feed. And, it's significant.
I mean, there is nothing in Google Buzz to indicate that this is going to be something they're going to push into search engines. I mean, would that be another concern?
No, they don't have to push the search engine. But if they see that this video or this blog post about, if there's 5 blog posts about the luge,
right, the Olympic
luger who died, which is so sad, and I have a whole bunch of comments on that. It's a side thing, which if we ever do Jason Nation and just talk about other stuff outside of technology, I would go off on. But which 5 links are getting the most comments on them and are retweeted the most, or rebuzzed, whatever rebuzzed, or liked? Just that would be the order they should come up in Google News. If people have commented on that and they have voted it up, ergo, it's the better one.
Right.
With few exceptions.
They're getting the algorithm just got a hell of a lot smarter in a social sense. Yeah.
Correct, Tyler. This is the big insight.
Yeah.
And this is correct. This product will devalue, and the real purpose of this on a gangster level is Facebook is about to announce, and this is another one of these things that I say on the show that nobody knows, that somebody could make into a big story, but the journalists don't seem to want to give me credit for all the insights we have on the show. But Facebook is working on Facebook Sense, basically their version of AdSense. It is not only going to exist on Facebook, it is going to be available on sites that have Facebook Connect.
Right.
So on Mahalo Answers, instead of putting Google AdSense, we could put Facebook Sense. When they build their big ad network, they will know not only the keywords associated with that page, they will know all this information about the person. Because they have behavioral data. So they will know that Tyler has been in Japan, has 20 friends in Japan. And so when Tyler is doing a search on an airline or something, they could include that data in the search result and in the ads rather. So if they're going to show a cookbook, they might as well show a Japanese cookbook to him because that's his second biggest network.
Right.
You get the idea.
Yes.
And this is a huge threat to Google. So what does Google do? They commoditize it. They make it free and available here in Google, in Gmail. Just like Google tries to commoditize Google, Microsoft Word and Microsoft Office and even Microsoft's browser and Microsoft's operating system. Just like Apple, everybody's trying to commoditize the other thing that the person has that makes their money.
Yes.
Google Android is meant to ankle. Let's just use the word that is accurate. Kneecap. You understand what I mean?
I do. Take out the other guy.
Nancy Kerrigan.
Galooly them, yeah.
Galooly them. Thank you. Good reference. So they're kneecapping Galooly these people, and that's what the explicit purpose, implicit, complicit.
It would be implicit.
It would be implicit.
Because they're not explicitly saying we're
the
going to
implicit
mess with Facebook, right?
Yes, it's implicit. But inside those meetings, it's explicit. Is they want to cut the most profitable thing at Apple, the iPhone, by commoditizing it, make it free, lower prices, more competitors. It is. We were talking at the TED conference last night, at the dinner, and at the poker game about how there has. I was talking with Tim O'Reilly. And he was saying he can't believe the level of combativeness between the companies and everybody going for everything. Who would ever think Google would go into the social space and the phone space? Who would ever think that Apple would go into the search engine space? Well, Apple's going to launch a search engine. I mean, this has been a rumor that's been around for a while. Apple will have a search engine, I guarantee you, very shortly. And just like Microsoft has a search engine now to try to cut out Google's knees. It's a wild time.
Yeah,
what do you think of it all?
I would think that Google seems to be trying to reach broader and faster and farther than any of the other folks, much like Microsoft did in its heyday. I'd like to think that Apple is a little bit more strategic about it, and they try to do hardware-based. I mean, they're always trying to find ways to make money with hardware, which I like because they're sticking to their core. They know how to make money.
Right.
I think Google is just got this cash cow with advertising. They're like, we're just going to throw stuff against the wall to see what sticks. Yeah.
However, didn't Apple buy an ad network for the iPhone? It was an ad network they bought. Tyler, look it up, or somebody in the chat room tell me. I forgot the name of it, and they were also in the
AdMob, was that?
No, AdMob was what Google bought, and there was another one. So
AdBright.
But is that going to sell more ad
Quattro.
phones? That's going to sell more iPhones, right?
Well, it's going to give them another revenue stream, so that they don't have Google making the money off the iPhone, et cetera. And Facebook is going to launch currency, for a virtual currency to take Mark Pincus's money. Go ahead, Tyler.
The funny thing about Google throwing stuff at the wall is it seems to just stick there independently, but they actually end up connecting to each other in the sense that when Latitude came out, people were like, meh, Latitude. Now that this is out and people build their profiles, the Google Buzz, you have to build a profile.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
Now your profile is tied to your location, and the stuff that you buzz is tied to that location, so they're filling out location data as well. Like it's geo-specific data.
Interesting.
And when you do a search in Google and you filled out a profile, it comes up with your photo right in the result, as opposed to every other result related to you doesn't have your image of yourself right next to it, right, in a Google profile sense. Right. So it has massive SEO benefits if you search for yourself and you do have a Google profile.
Yeah.
It's going to kill the Facebook ranking or the,
they'll put themselves number one maybe.
Yeah.
Or
well, they have them listed, they list themselves at the very bottom, but even at the very bottom when it has a icon or avatar.
Yeah, it'll be a one box.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my God, I have 4,585 followers now. I had no idea. I mean, it's growing very quickly.
It's growing very quickly, and I mean, is that That's obviously it's growing because you're posting so much news and being active.
No. It took me years to get to 5,000 on Facebook.
Right. Well,
2 or 3.
Definitely.
It took me 2 or 3 days to get to 5,000 on this. That's significant.
Well, but I mean, don't you think a lot of that is just because when they launched, they just had hundreds of thousands of users? I mean, automatically, you're a user because you have Gmail.
I know that. Yes, that is the reason.
Right.
Which makes it no less significant, so we agree.
Yeah.
It's significant. However they did it, it's significant that they have already caught up to Facebook.
Right, yeah.
What do you think is driving the responsiveness that you talked about before? Is it the ease of use? Is it the fact that everyone already uses Gmail?
It is because there is a large contingent of people who can't be bothered to log into a social network. We all know them. They are us. I mean, how often do you log into Facebook? You know, like
rarely.
I can't go. The only reason I email stuff to my Postgres account, which then sends it to Twitter, my blog, my Flickr, my MySpace, and I don't actually log into any of these services in general. So Facebook is for me to market what I'm working on.
Yeah.
That's it.
We actually discussed that.
Facebook's a marketing channel for me.
We actually discussed that this morning on the other show that
This Week in Twitter.
This Week in Twitter,
which you host.
Which I host.
So if people who are fans of This Week in Startups can't get enough of Lon and you want to get a little warm up at 11 a.m.
11 a.m.
11
every
a.m.
Friday.
Pacific, which is 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
Which is 7 p.m. Sydney the next day. Something. Who knows?
Sure.
Anyway,
I'll go with that.
Whatever it is, you can watch. If it's like 20 minutes of Lon is not enough reading the news, you get Lon hosting.
It's an hour solid of
300
Lon
people. And
insights.
what was the point that came up in This Week in Twitter?
I was going to say that I actually feel like Posterous, Tumblr, those are sites that are really like now rendered almost obsolete. I mean, you can use Google Buzz exactly like Tumblr. It works almost exactly the same way.
This is, and so your question was, why is it so effective? There's a large contingent of people. This was the unknown, like for Facebook. When you're an entrepreneur, there's like there's things that are unknown. Like you don't know how many people need CDN services in the future. Or you don't know what the price will be of things. The unknown unknowns is that you don't even know what question to ask. And in Facebook's case, their blind side was they actually didn't understand how many people there were out there not participating in social networks. They just, or maybe they did, but I mean, I certainly didn't know this. And so what's happened is all of those people who never really participated, now they've got another thing in their inbox that just says Buzz. And it's like, oh, that's like getting an email. Getting an email from me with a funny video or getting a buzz from me with a funny video is now the same thing. Whereas me putting a funny video on Twitter or Facebook was a different thing than the funny email. So basically just taking the social network updates and the concept of inbox and making it one means people still live in their inboxes. Yep. We all do.
Yeah, and it's very sticky too because you see that number update every time you log in.
God, yes.
You see like there's 85 things waiting for you in your Buzz.
I can't use it because what happens to me is
it overwhelms your inbox, I would imagine.
My inbox is absurd, and I use Google Apps. But can we pull up my email box for a second here, my computer? Well, and what you'll see here is look at that. That's from 1 a.m.
So where's the Buzz part?
All of these items with the little icon, those are Buzz stories. So when you see that icon, that's what basically that's a Facebook story now in line in your inbox. So this is blending my inbox.
Yeah, that's part of the stickiness too, is if you participate in a thread, it then just emails you basically responses and other activity from that thread. So it's very like once you start participating, there's a lot of mechanisms in there to keep you looking.
And do you subscribe to RSS feeds or is that put it past that?
I do in some cases, but I generally type in the domain names of the 10 places I like. I go to TechMeme, I have a couple of aggregators, and I click on links in Twitter. But look at this. I have one here.
Well, that's actually another. It's also integrated with Google Reader. So
this Robert Scoble
like
update,
something on Google Reader, it pulls it into your Buzz as well.
Look at this Robert Scoble update. 187 people have commented on it. I'm sorry you guys can't see this, but look, 187. And then there's another one down here, 103, 150. 150 people commenting, 73. I mean, these are like all in the last day. And what happens is these things are new if somebody comments.
Right, it goes
That means if you
up.
have 100 comments, it's a new email message 100 times if you were to clear it each time. So this is not sustainable in your inbox when you're a router like me or you're following a router like me. So they've got to come up with a better way to follow threads. than making it new every time somebody adds.
Yeah, you can't possibly. Nobody could keep up.
All right,
with
next
the
news
pace.
story, because we can't talk about this all.
Next story. Staying on Google, Google buys Aardvark. In other Google news, the search company purchased social Q&A service Aardvark for a reported $50 million.
Hello.
The company, started by ex-Googlers, had previously raised $6 million in venture capital. Considering that the site only had about 90,000 users, only about half of which were actually participating in asking and answering questions. Does this mean Google paid $50 million for the Q&A algorithm, for the talent? What do you think is their angle here?
I'm lost on this one. I mean, at $20 million or $30 million, okay, sure, you bought a team.
Right.
But I have a sense they bought the team.
Well, and the team had already left Google once.
I know, but this is one of the things, like if you're Google and you think this is important, and you have an unlimited amount of money being thrown off, and there's 20 people there, and you say, you know what, those 20 people, if we incent them properly and have an earn-out, they build this inside of our company, they're going to do great. But I mean, I'm looking at Vark.com's Quantcast here. They have like 1,000 people a day going.
Yes. Well, and also because you could
Mahalo
use Aardvark.
has 600,000 uniques a day.
Yeah.
They have like 1,000 or 2. I don't understand that price. I mean, that puts us at a price of 300 times that number. That means we're worth 1.5 billion on a user by user basis. But anyway, people are very confused. But people buy things for the team all the time, So
Yeah.
Congratulations to them and their investors. That
Nice
was
exit, yeah.
It's an incredible exit. I think it's not a great product experience.
It depends on what you're asking about.
So in some questions it works well.
Sometimes I've gotten, because we tried it out. 'Cause we
Yeah,
have
of
an
course.
Answers product.
We have an
here,
Answers product, right.
I have had, I would say, 75% effectiveness. Like sometimes you don't get any good answers. Sometimes you get really good answers. Usually
But
kind of in between.
Putting the question through the Vark system versus tweeting it, what's the difference?
I would get better responses from Twitter because I have.
Okay, so that's the issue I have is like, why would I put this? Why would I go through Vark to put it there? Like I can understand putting it on a web page like Yahoo Answers or Mahalo Answers, because then you get everybody gets to comment on it. You may get a diverse range of opinions from outside your network, but there's more fluid ways to. I mean, maybe it's because they're going to categorize people. So when you say this is about Japanese food, it goes to Tyler, and I say this is about, I don't know what you're into, film. It goes to you.
Right.
But I would rather just tweet it and have you both,
some
ask
people,
about film.
To be fair, a lot of Twitter users don't have the kinds of follower numbers where you can do that. I mean, if you only have 20, 30 people following you, you may
then
not have
you're only
going to
have 20, 30 people in your network on
That's
Vark.
true.
So, I mean, it's going to
community
mirror
isn't
it.
gonna do that.
So anyway, congratulations to them. I'm not going to play or hate. And I do think that they have some interesting features in there that will obviously, if they're really good, will consider put in Mahalo. So we've had lots of discussions here about adding them to
We definitely have. I
Mahalo.
mean, they've been somebody we've watched here.
Yeah, and we
they're doing
have
interesting
always said we have been categorizing what answers people give in certain categories, and we've been waiting like, hey, when do we turn this on to sort of show who's an expert in which category, and should we route questions, which Yahoo does not well.
No.
So I think they do routing probably better than anybody.
Yeah, their algorithm of matching like people to questions is more effective than anybody else who's done it to date.
So congratulations
and
to them.
The site lives on. You could still use it, and it's in Google Labs now.
Right. So now it'll be like somehow connected. Maybe we get connected to Buzz. Maybe we'll be part of Buzz.
A lot of people were thinking that online
Who
that I
knows?
read, was that it's going to have something to do with Buzz.
My guess is like Dodgeball and other acquisitions, it's probably going to have a hard time getting attention inside the organization. It's very hard inside a big organization like that. So I think for them, what it signals to me is that the entrepreneurs didn't really believe in the idea. Because if they really believed in it, why would they sell it so quickly? And maybe they need cash. I mean, again, people said the same thing about me with Weblogs Inc. But
a lot of cash.
If people offer you a disproportionate amount of cash, but these guys were Google guys, so they had money already. So it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why would you sell so quickly? Build it for another couple of years.
It's still a pretty crazy valuation for what they've done.
I guess it's disproportionate, and that's maybe that's the reason it's disproportionate, is because the only way to get those guys to not do it themselves is to give them a disproportionate reward. At 25 or 35, maybe they wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, apparently in December they were offered 30 and they didn't take it.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe they're paying, like I think $30 million to buy a startup, for technology, $20-30 million to buy a startup based on the technology and team is a reasonable price for a Google or Microsoft. It's reasonable. 50 is not. So maybe what these guys did was they got Google to make an unreasonable deal, which people said Weblogs Inc. was an unreasonable deal because it was reportedly 30 times forward-looking revenue or something like that. So Yeah, so that means they got a premium of 50 cents on the dollar. So instead of getting 30, they got 50, got 40% more than they should have. Congratulations to them.
Good for them.
That's awesome.
Next story.
Yes.
We have a new entry into the Deadpool this week.
Wah, wah.
VO. Streaming video site VO enters the Deadpool. The company will let go of its remaining workforce and may file for Chapter 7 bankruptcy protection. Though similar to YouTube in its wealth of user-generated content, VO also featured a selection of network TV content and some movies. The site debuted in beta in March of 2006 and received about $70 million in venture capital over the years from investors including Spark Capital, Goldman Sachs, Time Warner, and former Disney chairman Michael Eisner.
Huh.
Site had been looking for a buyer but had trouble due to an ongoing legal dispute with Universal Music Group. So where did all of these, I mean, these are not sort of fly-by-night investors. These are major venture capitalists. Where did they all go wrong in online video? How come they couldn't figure it out?
Well, let me just say that we should play the Deadpool
Jingle?
graphic.
There we go. That is a really fecund, disgusting Deadpool.
You have died, we salute you.
I'm struck every time when we show that graphic about how disgusting that Deadpool is.
It is pretty disgusting.
It really
you know,
is.
the pool here, which was a blow-up kind of pool,
Yes.
like that one and the things, Taurus and Fondue literally ripped it apart.
They destroyed it.
They destroyed it, so now we have no Deadpool.
We have
Thanks
a
to my
symbolic.
dogs.
We have a symbolic Deadpool.
It was literally outside, like in a pile, and then the dog still would sit in it. They were so affectionate for the death in that pool. It's the dead, decaying body of Jimmy Wales is just animals just love to rip at it,
Yeah.
fray it. James, you take this one. I mean, it's a video startup. Why did it fail?
Well, all right. So I have to.
Are they a client? You have some inside information?
Well, I have to be honest and disclose that we took over their Los Angeles offices, and yeah. So
When?
This was in January of this year, just 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
Oh, you took over their office lease.
Yes.
Oh,
so
you got a good deal.
Yes. So we sort of, maybe had some insight that maybe this was on this way. We had talked to them years ago about their content delivery needs, and they pushed a ton of traffic. I feel like if you're going to get into this space and you're going to go big like they do, you go bigger or you bust. I'd argue that YouTube could have gone the same direction as these guys did if Google didn't come along. So there is no clear revenue model in massive video delivery online yet. Hulu has figured it out because they've got great content. But I don't necessarily know that Hulu is a for-profit company right now, and or will always be. It's got an ownership model that's different. So,
yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. This could have been YouTube's fate.
Yeah.
Huge lawsuit, huge CDN bills.
Yeah.
No monetization.
VO actually had some early advantages against YouTube. The quality was better on
Yes.
video.
they had a P2P solution. They had a whole bunch of things going for them.
It was a faster site, too.
At the dinner I went to last night, Solar was there, who is now running YouTube, and Chad Hurley, the founder of YouTube, was there. And I was talking to Solar about the idea for taking the Sundance movies and paying for them.
That was a good idea.
And I sent him the video. And the first thing he said to me is, how does it become sustainable and generate revenue? And I said, well, don't worry about making money. You're Google. Do it for fun. And he was like, no. Everything we do has to make money at some point. It has to get to that point. So how does it get to that point? And I said, well, why don't you make it like a $100,000 grant or a $250,000 grant? Just make it a $100,000 grant to 20 movies, it's only $2 million. And they get a sponsor or 3 to sponsor the whole collection of these are the 20 Sundance movies from last year that we're going to feature here for free. It'd be cool.
Yeah.
And it's not
I still think it's a
exclusive
good
or whatever.
idea.
So he's like, maybe that would work. You get a sponsor or 2 and you put it up there.
If you don't spend too much on the movies, and the ones that the whole point was you're buying the movies that don't otherwise get bought, so they're
it's
looking
found
for
money for them.
Yeah.
If it's $100,000, and I met the guy who produced Napoleon Dynamite actually, and I guess was one of the writers on it at the party last night or whatever. And it's interesting. Anyway, it's sad to see people lose their jobs. Any developers out there from VO? Jason at Jason, come talk to me. We'll get you a nice landing here. No, it's sad, but you know what? It's like you're saying. In that space, you go big, and the music industry has killed more startups. And the only person who has caused more failure in the internet industry than startups is Jimmy Wales. Than music companies is Jimmy Wales. I mean, it's really that horrific. I mean, the music industry just kills everything. They tried to kill YouTube. I mean, YouTube just got out by the skin of their teeth. And I don't think they haven't settled that lawsuit yet.
I don't believe so.
No, that's still ongoing with the Viacom thing.
Yeah.
So that's going to be like Discovery and Madness forever.
Viacom still pending, I think.
But also, I mean, you've seen YouTube polices itself much better now than ever before.
They give the tools to people to do it. If you're a mute, not only do they give you the tools to police it, they give you the tools to monetize it. So like, oh, you stole our stuff? Great, now we're making money from it. And they're like, okay, we just look through the entire database for every time somebody takes New York State of Mind and puts it on their thing. Now we're going to monetize it for you and get your money back and sell you MP3s.
It is lightning fast now on YouTube. I mean, we were speaking about the luge accident in training. Those videos are going up and literally being.
They have it on tape.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's video, and as soon as it gets up, you won't find it on YouTube. Literally, the moment it gets up on YouTube, the Canadian broadcasting company that owns it pulls it. And I mean, the turnover has been astonishing.
Well, that means Gawker will have it on their site because Gawker TV hosts it itself. I just want to comment on the luge thing. From what I heard, and you correct me if I'm wrong here about the luge thing, I'm not going to play it or anything like that.
Don't play it on the air. It's gruesome.
Is it really gruesome?
It's not. Most of it happens off screen, but it's enough to be sort of uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, well, somebody dying is
somebody
uncomfortable.
you can see that it is a tragic accident, and there is not a way he would have survived.
Well, here's the thing, though. I heard this track is absurdly fast.
Yes.
Yesterday, one of the other athletes complained that and said something to the effect of, we are lemmings being thrown down this dangerous thing to our death or something.
Oh my, I had not heard of that.
Yeah, like smoking gun quote. And then this guy goes flying off the track they said it's too fast. And now they're not going to cancel the luge?
Well, they've suspended training on this course for now. I don't know if they've been officially announced what's going to happen next.
What do you do if you're an athlete?
With this.
Oh, that is a.
Well, how do you move forward? Like, you've been training for the Olympics, right? This is your goal of your whole life, and you're here at the Olympics, and now suddenly you see a course that maybe isn't as kosher as it needs to be. Do you still jump on there and do it?
Well, I know my answer, which is absolutely not. No way. But I'll see you guys later. But this is why I'm probably not an Olympic athlete.
Well, there you go.
Is luge L-O-U?
L-U-G-E.
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 I never understand. I mean, I'm not going to make jokes about it, but I did never understand this sport. And I always said to myself, this seems too dangerous to be a sport. Like, it's like riding on a motorcycle without handlebars or something. You know, like, it's too dangerous.
It's thrilling. I can only imagine.
Right.
I'll tell you, one thing, this will
like
be
extreme sport. It's the adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
Jumping out of a plane's silly, right? But people do it, and they do cartwheels and they do crazy stuff, and there you go.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know if there's been a lot of deaths in the sport, but
you know, you tell people you start a company, people are like, "I can't believe you do that."
Right.
You're crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Public speaking too. That's isn't that? People are more afraid of public speaking than death, isn't that?
Oh, and being naked in public. Somehow people think that's strange.
Next story.
Next story. Okay, moving on.
I'd like to end the show by 3:30. We started at 2:30. It's 2 hours.
Oh my! So one more. Well, we can do MySpace. It's a pretty big story. I think we can get it in 3 minutes.
Yeah. And I have a lot of inside information on this, obviously.
Major shakeup at MySpace this week. CEO Owen Van Natta stepped down as CEO a mere 9 months after joining the company. He's being replaced by new co-presidents Mike Jones and Jason Hirschhorn. GigaOM has reported that the departure was due to conflicts between Van Natta and News Corp's head of digital operations, John Miller, and has essentially declared MySpace a dead property. Their headline is RIP MySpace. This comes on top of news from TechCrunch that Tom Anderson, who was almost everyone's first MySpace friend, is no longer assigned automatically to new user accounts and hasn't logged into the site since January 24th. So is it time for us to throw MySpace into the dead pool?
No, it is not. I have a lot of inside information here, so I need to do a bunch of disclaimers.
Okay.
Number one, John Miller was my boss at AOL.
Mm-hmm.
John Miller is on the board of Mahalo.
Yes.
John Miller is an investor in Mahalo personally, and News Corp is an investor in Mahalo. I am very close to the situation. I know Owen not well. I know Mike Jones very well. Mike Jones' company, Userplane, was bought by John Miller as well in the same era.
Mm-hmm.
The companies that win in the internet space are the ones who have obsessive, compulsive determination to make the best product, not deal makers and business people. Owen Van Natta is a nice guy, I'm not going to say anything disparaging about him, but I think he would admit that he is a deal guy and a business guy, not an obsessive product guy. I don't know there's a list of products you could say that he personally built. He's the business guy you bring in to scale a business. They brought him in, and then they brought in 2 product guys under him. And then you have John above him, and then you have Rupert Murdoch above him. There's too many layers of business management, not enough layers of product management. There was some tension there from what I understand. I don't know all the inside stuff.
Most of the blogs that I read, and I, of course, have no inside information, just from what you read on the internet.
Just a disclaimer, you have no connection.
I should do a disclaimer. I don't
please.
know anybody involved in this story. From what I read on the blogs, it sounded like there was an internal struggle between sort of John Miller and the News Corp side of things, and Venata, who had a different direction in mind.
Yes.
And there was sort of a power struggle.
It was a mistake to put Venata in that position. Clearly. I think that everybody feels that. John, Owen, Rupert, and Mike Jones, and Jason Horshorn. All of them probably feel that was not the piece that they needed. They had a reason to do it, I guess. Probably they thought there was more business stuff going on, maybe doing the deal with Google to re-up the thing. Maybe they thought because I think Owen was involved in some of that stuff at Facebook. Yes. Maybe they thought Owen with his connections would do all those business deals really well. But that's not what MySpace needs today. What MySpace needs is Mike Jones to make it fast, stable, and feature-rich, and get out the clutter and noise, and make it best of breed again. That is going to take a long time. Just getting it stable has taken 6 months, and to stop like the hemorrhaging of users, just to get some basic functionality in there, like adding the ability to syndicate your tweets. They need to make it a full-fledged product and catch up to Facebook, Buzz, these things. And then they have to do something innovative. This is going to take 3 years. It's like doing a startup and a legacy, and you have to take care of this existing business at the same time. It's very hard. And it's all about product. The only discussions they should be having there right now, forget about business stuff. That should be off the table. Forget about business stuff. Business will take care of itself if the product is growing. Number 1, speed. Number 1, stability. Number 2, speed. Number 3, features, which is what I always say internally at Mahalo. Keep the site up and running, make the site fast, add features. And sometimes I switch the fast and the features, depending on like what we need to get done.
Right.
Anyway, what are your thoughts?
I think the big problem they have is the fickleness of the user community, which is that once you get to a social network and you like it and you fall in love with it and you sort of love it, you're there. And then if it disappoints you and you move on and you suddenly fall in love with someone else, you don't want 2 girlfriends. You don't go back. I don't think you do, at least. So to your point, I think they have to take a huge leap forward. They can't just have an incremental improvement. It needs to really be the next big thing in order for people to come back to MySpace.
Yeah, I think there needs to be that thing that, have you seen what MySpace is doing? It needs their version of Buzz that just draws people back in.
Something truly unique.
And it's been a very long time since there's been anything like that on MySpace.
Yeah.
Last story. You have another one?
I do.
Anything important?
Anything important? Not terribly important. We have a bunch of new services, and then we have something about Amazon giving away free Kindles.
Give me the headlines. I'll pick.
Okay, Flatter, which was suggested by a user actually who wanted to hear your thoughts on it. Free Kindle. Amazon is thinking of giving Amazon Prime users a Kindle for free. Packlate.com, a company that wants to help you get last-minute vacation deals, and Proposable, a service that wants to help you create sales proposals online.
Let's hear the Kindle thing. That's the most important one.
All right. Amazon already offers its paid Amazon Prime subscribers a chance to buy a Kindle risk-free. If you don't like it, you can return it for a refund. According to TechCrunch, the company may take the even bolder step of just giving a free Kindle to every Amazon Prime member. Currently, Prime costs $79 a year, so the notion would be Prime members are more likely to buy books. Therefore, convincing them to get a Kindle, they're going to buy more Kindle books. Is this a sign that Amazon is sort of preparing for the iPad, scared of the iPad, or is it just a good strategy generally?
The price, when you release a product, you should make it expensive, maximize profitability on the dumbasses like me who will buy it the first day.
Right.
Then you get the people who are a little more savvy, like Tyler, who want to wait until the product's more stable and at a better price. So like I would buy the iPhone 3GS on the first day. Tyler will probably buy it, what, like 6 months in, 3 months in?
I'm skipping 3GS and waiting for the 4G.
So you're
I'm still on 3G.
So he's just, I'm too savvy for that. and then they get the laggards. And so they're probably at that point where it's like, you know what, sales are starting to slow. We need to do something to jumpstart this. Let's get those people in the middle who, aren't into it. And the profitability comes in the books. They probably have figured out after X many books it's a profitable endeavor, and there's competition coming. It's a great idea. What they really should do is they should say, buy 5 books, get the Kindle for this price. Buy 10 books, get the Kindle for free. So if I have a Prime account. By the way, Amazon Prime is the greatest thing ever. I mean, you get free shipping, and it's like whatever the faster shipping is, you get it for free. And you can invite 5 of your family members to it or something. It's awesome. So I suggest I would suggest that they do this. And even if they lost $50 on each Kindle, right now, or $100, they probably in aggregate would get it back because the people who have Kindles buy a lot.
Right. Yeah.
There is going to be a color Kindle that has better web access. That's the report. So, but Kindle, people say on the Apple tablet, it's too heavy, and it's not for reading books. So for book reading, the iTablet will not do it. For magazine reading, iTablet and newspapers will be better on that.
You hit the nail on the head with the idea of get the library into the tablet right away.
Right.
Because if you got 100 books on that you haven't read, well, it doesn't matter if the fancy iPad comes out. You got 100 books sitting here. You got to read those, and you got to get through them.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And so I think that needs to be the incentive, and that's what they're missing. Because right now, if you give somebody something for nothing, well, that's what it's worth to them. Nothing.
They're not going to open it.
Right. And so I think that they'll just wait. Oh, I got a free Kindle. Maybe I'll use it every now and then. But I'm going to wait for the the iPad, and I'm going to use that.
Yeah, maybe that would be a better incentive and structure.
Yeah, that definitely should. That's a good idea.
Or I always thought that this is a subscription model thing like Audible. So I am an Audible member. I pay, I think, $15 a month. So I pay $180 a year at Audible. I get 2 audio books with my gold membership. They're not a sponsor of the show. They were a sponsor of the show. I'm sure they will be again. But I've always loved that product, and I like to listen to audio books. If they said to me, Jason, get the platinum membership of Audible, which is, I think, 3 books or 4 books, and we'll throw in a Kindle, and that's $30 a month, and you have to have that for 2 years. That's another $300, of which they have to give half to the book publisher, $150. So sure, makes sense. They could get me if they said to me, we will give you 1 ebook, 2 audiobooks, $25 a month. I'm in. There's a lot of people who are in. People like a subscription. I love that, and it's a great thing to give as a gift.
Yeah, if I can get a free ebook for every $100 I spend, if I'm a Prime user, so if I'm just on Amazon and doing whatever, and then I earn a credit for an ebook because I spent $100 buying Amazon products, that'll make me want to use the Kindle more because I'm going to build my library.
Yeah, you're going to have more to read on it.
Okay, I love the domain noob is like, is Jason really scanning the chat without interrupting a stream of thought? Yes, I am.
Multitasking.
It's called multitasking, but you do get the plus. This has been a great show. Next week, Michael Roberson's going to be on. You may remember him from mp3.com.
Wow,
and he also did Gizmo 5, which he sold to Google. He's in San Diego. He's a great guy. You know him?
No.
Really good, great entrepreneur. James, thank you for being on the program.
Pleasure.
Edgecast, I know, is crushing it. You have a lot of job openings, I understand.
Yes, we do.
You're hiring 10 people?
We're going to have 25 to 30 people we're hiring in the next 3 months. So careers at Edgecast.
Wait a second. Wait, hold on a second. You can't just drop that. I mean, not ask. Are you raising another round of funding? How do you pay for 25 more jobs?
There'll probably be a growth round coming soon, yeah.
Growth round. I like it. When people say growth round, just for the fans at home, that means a big round. Like, we're doing good. And maybe your growth round means you're going to acquire something. So we did talk a little bit before. But do you like to buy stuff, or do you just you're more like a building type company?
I'm a builder, not a buyer.
Yeah, I never liked the buying thing.
No,
it's just too much of a pain in the ass. Integration.
I just don't like wearing other people's clothes. I like to do it my own.
You buy a house and you keep the sofa that they've been sitting on for 2.
Yeah, no.
Oh, yucky. I moved into my house. The refrigerator. I was like, oh my god, get this refrigerator. I couldn't even.
You can't use the other refrigerator.
OCD.
Emptied it out, right?
No, OCD.
I'm just still a ham in it or anything.
We lived with that refrigerator for a couple of months, and I just got so OCD about it, imagining their food in there. Because they didn't keep the house clean. They didn't even like garden, and just think about the refrigerator, and there's probably like fungus on that food, and you have stuff with it's like mold.
Yeah, it's true.
And then we clean it with what about maybe there's mold in a crack.
This is the last time I sell my house to you.
Listen, James, I told you. Get that moldy fruit out of here. People thought it was pretty funny. No, I can't take.
That's a little obsessive with the can't have your food where other people's food has been.
I can't touch when I go into a hotel room now and I want to watch television, I take a sheet and I wrap the sheet around the remote control to press the button.
You're going to sleep in the bed,
Purell.
I don't know. And I do that too. I take Purell and I will drop Purell right on the remote and my hands. Not enough.
Big on the Purell.
Not enough.
Wow.
I just don't want to touch it. I think like maybe somebody went to the bathroom and then
they probably did. I mean,
and then they touched the remote
wrong.
control and I can tell you clearly because I'm a guy. Like guys, I'll go to like a Laker game, and you'll see some guy come out of the bathroom stall and walk right past the sinks. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm getting back to the game.
Movie theaters too, all the time. It's during the movie, and people don't want to miss.
Wash your hands. And then I watch other guys go and they wash their hands, and it's almost like they're doing it like there's some reverse OCD thing where if they just go bang and wipe one hand on her like that, and then they try, I'm like, the perfecting wash is even more irritating.
Right.
You got to press the button and get it going for a little while.
A little lather.
I'm 30 seconds. I count 30, 29. You get in there.
It's good.
That's normal.
Yeah, it's normal. You are sick less than most people I know.
I never get sick.
I will give you that. You don't get sick very much.
No. And what do I do when somebody gets sick and they come to this office?
Yeah, it's with the hazmat team comes out.
I tell people,
you can't come back.
You cannot. I've thrown people out of the office. They come in there.
You've thrown me out of the office.
Yeah, you were sneezing and you're next to me. What are you thinking?
Sorry.
But were you not sick?
Oh, I had a cold. I mean, I feel like I was past the contagious part of
Which
having
you
the
know
cold.
How?
Well, when you're sick for like 2-3 days, and then you're getting over it. You're getting over it, so you're not infectious.
You are not a doctor. No, you could quite possibly be infectious. You don't know that. You're making that up. That is just some wives' tale.
I do not have a medical degree.
Yes. So this is oh no, I'm over it. And you know what it is? I appreciate that people want to be warriors. You're a hardworking guy. You don't want to miss the show. You don't want to miss something that's going on. You're a leader. That's fine. But just stay home. And then the other thing is people get sick and they don't go to the doctor. And if you go get that Z-Pack, what is it called?
Z-Pack.
Z-Pack. It costs nothing, and I'm paying for health insurance for everybody, and then they won't go get a Z-Pack. You get Z-Pack, you take it. It kills everything in your system. Everything. So if you had something you didn't know about, it's gone. And after 2 days, 3 days with that, you're fine. I went to the World Series of Poker. There you have 3,000, 4,000 people playing per day who are poker players, which are the dirtiest people you've ever seen in your life, by and large. All touching the same chips. And not only do they touch the chips, they sit there and play with them with those grimy hands.
And they wipe their nose.
Wiping the nose and the grimy hands. And I would wear plastic gloves if I could at that game.
Howie Mandel it up.
Oh, absolutely. And they then, everybody's getting sick because you have 9 people at a table, and there's literally 100 tables in a room. 1,000 people in a room, and it's a table like this. You're close. I start feeling a little tickle in my throat. My friends are feeling sick. My wife says, I'm calling the doctor. We're at the Wynn. I'm like, I can't go to the doctor at the World Series. She's like, we're in the Wynn. This is like the Wynn Hotel. This is like the Wynn Suites. Player style, It's J-Cal style. She calls downstairs. She's like, can you send the doctor? Oh, yeah, we got a doctor. Sure, they send a doctor up. Doctor comes. He gets there in like an hour, which is amazing. He takes my blood pressure. I got to do a workup on you. Takes my blood pressure, takes my pulse, temperature. He's like, yep, gives me a Z-Pack. Then he says, is there anything else I can get you?
This is
some
kind of service.
This is Las Vegas. So I think for a second, and I'm like, what if I can't sleep? So I'm like, Ambien? So he's like, yeah, sure, here's 10 Ambien. So I was like, great. I still have the 10 Ambiens. I keep in my bag. Only time I use Ambien is I'm like rebooting, going to a different country. But I'm fine. One of my friends, 2 of my friends, got so sick that they had their eyes tearing. They were sick for weeks. This is a public service announcement from your friends at This Week in Startups. If you are sick, take a Z-Pack, go to the doctor. Thank you to our sponsors, Bing, Bing, Bing. Thank you to Joel Spolsky for calling in. That was a treat. Everybody go check on Joel and Software. Thanks to DNA Mail, DNA Mail. Everybody loves DNA Mail. Thanks to Rob of Babblefish. Thank you, Sean of There Now. 2 really great call-ins, didn't you think, Tyler?
Yeah.
Tyler, are you distracted today or something? Is the show not a priority today for you?
I have my back is tweaked. Like have you noticed? I'm not even sitting right.
No, I know. In most episodes, you're running all around the
But
studio.
I have a headache and.
Something's wrong, right?
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah, no, my back hurts.
Sure you're okay?
My back hurts, so I can't.
Take a Z-Pack.
I just find no, that's not gonna help. You gotta get Motrin, but I mean, because you're not. It's like the insights are low. You're not low energy. Everything.
Yeah, I'm having trouble moving. I'm like, I have to be like, very,
right.
very.
I was actually gonna talk to you after the show and be like, you gotta bring it a little bit more. But if you're gonna claim that you got a bad back, that's a valid claim. I hate that back pain.
Jay. What did we talk about
all we
half an
talked
hour
about.
before the show started?
Yeah.
I believe you. And back pain is debilitating.
Yeah.
And psychological.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, you need to go maybe get a Thai massage.
I tried last night.
You tried to get one?
Yeah.
Did you get it?
No, there's this little massage place over here called Sun Massage. I'll
Okay.
tell you after the show.
It's a little questionable, that
Okay,
one.
hold on a second. If it's
I don't think I can endorse that one.
let me explain something. If the massage place
Yeah.
is got a neon sign,
It does.
Yes.
you don't go.
No, I knew better.
There is a Thai massage place in Westwood. There's a couple of them that are like $60 for an hour and a half. It's unbelievably cheap, and they are incredible. And then some tea, and some sleep, and a lot of water, and a bunch of Motrins. You'll be fine. But I was going to talk to him after the show because it's noticeable, right?
He still has some good insights, I think, this
But it
week.
was
Better
like
than
60
last week, but
last week he wasn't even
a little. You can tell that he's not at peak. You can tell this is not peak Tyler.
WebSpy, give it a try. Love those guys. Thank you to WebSpy for sponsoring the show. James, thank you. Edgecast is hiring a lot of people.
30
and the
people.
best way for them to do that is what? Jobs at Edgecast?
Careers@edgecast.com.
Careers@edgecast.com. Email, just put TWiST or This Week in Startups in the subject line so they know that you're a super fan.
Yep.
And Power VPS, thank you again. Right after the show is This Week in Android. What we're going to try to do here is, just so people know, on the thisweekin.com. Thisweekin.com will have a website. It's going to have all the This Week In shows. I cleared this with Leo Laporte of This Week in Tech, so don't start trouble.
Yeah, a couple people DM'd me on
Oh
Twitter.
my God, it's
like,
Jason. I'm
telling Leo you guys are stealing his format.
Leo said, Mazel Tov, go do it. I can't do every This Week In show. There's plenty of other people using that format. We bought the domain name This Week In. We're going to syndicate his show. There's our network. He'll syndicate ours.
Oh, that's very nice.
My hope is that we can, when we sell advertising for these shows, we can sell into him, and vice versa, because he's got such massive distribution. Maybe he's got a slot open. We can help sell it. And so we'll have This Week in Twitter, This Week in Startups, This Week in Android.
Those three have already launched. You can
Yes,
go
and they're
watch
doing
those
well.
right now.
Then after that, we're going to do another show. I think we're going to do This Week in Cloud Computing.
That's next up, yeah.
I think. And so we're going to just keep adding these shows, and we're going to try to make Friday the sort of block of tech shows, just tons of tech shows. And then Sunday, when Kevin Pollak has his shows, that might be the block of entertainment shows. So you could imagine if This Weekend something that's entertainment related. We'll get to that later. That could be Sunday.
Right.
So you could have two shows leading into Kevin Pollak's amazing show. Be interesting, right?
I think it's, yeah.
So if you have
like
ideas
a
for this-
network feeling.
Yeah, somebody says, yeah. So anyway, the people in the chat room, yes, you have a good idea. What shirt is Jason wearing? Everybody just said that over and over again. I will tell you. This is the Mahalo Fit Club shirt. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we have Mahalo Fit Club, which is done by Jeff here, who's a developer, and we do CrossFit training. And it's, you can see here my warriors at Mahalo. These guys are maniacs.
You selling those online?
You can only get this if you complete 5 Fit Clubs. So even people in the company, you have to do it. But he had like 14 people out of the 25 or 30 people in this office out there the last couple times.
It's growing, yeah. And the physical pain that you could hear everyone in out there.
It's
From
horrible.
inside the office, you could hear them grunting
I hear
and
you're going to take
wailing.
the basic class. There's going to be a basic class.
It's going to be a new, right. I can't start in the middle at
You go to the
CrossFit
newbie, but you do
training.
Taekwondo here with me.
I do Taekwondo.
You do Taekwondo on Sunday, and you're very good at it. The culture here, pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely
all-time
a
high.
community sort of vibe here now that I think for the first time, really ever.
Really tight, yeah, and it's almost cult-like.
There's for outsiders, it may be a little creepy at first.
Very,
but you'd get into it.
You get into it. You drink the Kool-Aid. It's really good, actually. I'm going to do a show on culture documents, and because I was talking to people about culture and Tony Hsieh and everything like that. Do you have a culture document at your company, James?
No, we don't, but it's actually something that we've been talking about, how to articulate our culture within the company.
I'll share with what we did. It's pretty cool.
You guys are actually doing some very cool things here. I just took a tour around before I came.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw some of the perks. And
perks are very big here.
Yeah.
You spend $4,000 per employee on, like, not health benefits, things above and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, you tell people what you should.
We tell them when they come to go for a job interview. It's breakfast, lunch, 3 o'clock we bring a fruit bowl with nuts to your desk. 5 o'clock we bring a cheese, prosciutto, meat, vegetable plate. 5 o'clock. And the reason I do those 3 and 5 o'clocks is because I get so hungry, and I'm working and writing, and then I don't get up, and then I get ravenously hungry, and then it's a disaster. And
laundry. I mean.
Oh, and then we have laundry. So you bring your laundry in, and the laundry's done and given back to you.
Car service.
Car wash.
Car wash every 6 weeks.
Car wash every 6 weeks.
Gym.
And then we have the gym stuff, and then we're going to have haircuts. So for Tyler, really.
No Thai massage. No Thai massage. Where is that?
Yeah, where's the Thai massage?
I don't want to be gratuitous. He's got a chef. What are the VCs thinking?
Yeah.
What do the investors in this company think? The only thing they think, I'll be totally honest, if your traffic is good and revenue is good, which it is in Mahal's case, knock on wood, nobody cares. If things are not going well and you're doing that kind of stuff, you look like an idiot. That's why I waited till everything was good and started adding that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's better. It's appropriate.
That makes sense, yeah.
Anyway, James, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks.
We'll see you all next week when our guest is Michael Roberson, an amazing entrepreneur. And make sure you read This Week in Startups.com when Scott Simcoe is doing all the superfan posts. He's doing like 5 posts a week, and they're awesome. And get involved in the comments. The people who get involved in the comments we get to know, which is awesome. This Week in Android coming up next. Stay tuned.
Spiked out, I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from